Chapter 844. Yang giving life lessons online _3. Her son had failed her expectations, but she could still rely on her daughter. Right, you're right. I can't count on that ungrateful son of mine anymore. That small Western-style house in front will be yours, but I'm keeping the money for myself. Grandma Wu was no fool. She wouldn't hand over the money just like that. That was her retirement fund. So Mom, you agree? Wu Jinjin was overjoyed. It was a 2-story Western-style house, and Wu Jinjin almost thought she was hallucinating. After all, in Grandma Wu's eyes, boys were always the most important. Grandma Wu nodded. Take it, and let your brother regret his actions. Every time I think about what he's done these past few days, it makes me uncomfortable. I've struggled so hard to raise him, and in the end I've raised an enemy. Just then, some significant noise came from the doorway. Wu Jinjin said, "It's Wu Chang and the others." Grandma Wu immediately stood up. Then let's hurry out to meet them. Right. On the other side, Wu Dalong and Wu Erlong were panting heavily as they ran to the Zheng family's home. Normally, Yin wouldn't be home at this time, but coincidentally, she was just about to leave the house when she saw the two brothers. Dalong Xiaolong, what brings you here? Where's your elder sister? Wu Dalong burst into tears. Sister Yang, only you can save my elder sister now. Yin was shocked. What's going on? Don't rush, take your time to explain. Wu Dalong cried so hard he could barely catch his breath. He didn't intend to cry, but he couldn't help it when he saw Yang. Seeing Wu Dalong like this, Wu Erlong said, Sister Yang, please go save my elder sister. She's about to get married. Get married? How could she suddenly be getting married? Yang frowned slightly. She had seen Wu Yanyan just 2 days ago and had heard nothing about this. Let's go to your house now, and you can tell me on the way. Yang took Wu Dalong by one hand and Wu Erlong by the other, and headed for the door. After a few steps, Yang realized walking was too slow, so she went back with the two children. Let's take a car. They called the driver, and all rushed to the Wu family's home. It was Wu Dalong and Wu Erlong's first time in a sedan. Under normal circumstances, they would have been curious, but today they didn't have time for that. In the car, Yang roughly understood the situation. Wu Yanyan's parents were good, but her grandmother might not be. The Zheng family and Wu family were 3 kilometers apart. A 15-minute drive, but much longer by foot. Dalong Erlong, how did you get here? Yang asked. Wu Erlong cried. Sister Yang, we ran here. Can we please hurry up? I'm afraid I won't see my elder sister again when I get back. Only then did Yang notice that the brothers were sweating profusely, and Wu Dalong had even scraped a big gash in his knee. These kids really weren't having an easy time. Yang hurriedly urged the driver. Uncle Lu, please go faster. The driver reluctantly said, Miss, there are too many people on the road today. It's usually not this crowded. No idea what's happening today. Yang continued. Uncle Lu, let me do it. The driver thought he had misheard. Miss, what did you say? I'll drive. Yang had quite enjoyed driving in her previous life, so she was skilled at it. The driver never expected Yang could drive, let alone that she could drive so well. A woman driving was truly a rare sight back in the day. Wu Jinjin and Grandma Wu walked outside. And indeed, Wu Chang had come for the wedding procession. It wasn't just Wu Chang. His mother, Wu Lan, and other relatives from the Wu family were there, but the young men smoking at the front clearly meant trouble. These were local ruffians Wu Lan had roped in to intimidate Wu Yanyan and Erju. The relatives are here, Grandma Wu said with a sycophantic smile. Wu Lan somewhat looked down on this old lady. If Jinshu and Erju had willingly married into their family, that would be one thing, but clearly the two were opposed. She prided herself on her dignity and disliked making others uncomfortable, but Wu Chang was too fond of Wu Yanyan. For her son's sake, she felt she had no choice. Where's Yanyan? Wu Lan asked. Grandma Wu replied. She's inside. Jinjin, go bring Yanyan out. Okay. Wu Jinjin immediately headed inside. Just then Erju and Jinshu walked out from inside, blocking Wu Jinjin's way. Chapter 845. Yang giving life lessons online _4. Wu Jinjin said with a smile. Brother and sister-in-law, on this joyful day, what do you want to do? Let me take Yin Yin out. Wu Jinshu looked at his somewhat unfamiliar sister. This is the Wu family. It's not the turn of a married girl to be the head of the family. Our Yin Yin still needs to study, go to college. She cannot get married. Wu Jinjin speechlessly said. Brother, what are you talking about? Are you still confused at this time? Mother Wu looked at Wu Chang. Qiangzi, go and greet your father-in-law and mother-in-law quickly. Oh sure. Wu Chang was dressed festively today, with a red flower pinned to his chest, smoothly pulling out 2 large red envelopes from his pocket. Mom and Dad, here's a little something from your son-in-law. Please accept it with a smile. Yan Erju and Wu Jinshu of course wouldn't take it. Wu Chang's hand just stiffened in midair. Wu Jinjin, seeing this, reached out and took the red envelopes. Qiangzi, since my brother and sister-in-law are too shy to accept, let me take it on their behalf. Wu Jinshu looked at Wu Chang. Comrade Wu Chang, our Yin Yin is only 17 this year. She is still young. She can't marry you. Please understand the hearts of us as parents. Upon hearing this, Wu Chang's face instantly turned ugly. He had come today to claim his bride, not to listen to Wu Jinshu say all this. Just then, Mother Wu stood up. Then please understand the heart of me as a mother. The bride price was taken, the agreement signed, the house demanded, and now you're calling it off. Where in the world does this make any sense? I'm telling you, my son isn't lacking potential wives, he's quite eligible. Countless young girls dream of marrying him. It was your family's old lady who personally took Yin Yin to meet suitors. From beginning to end, we haven't troubled you once, and now you act like this. Who are you showing off for? Wu Jinjin pocketed the red envelopes. In-laws, please don't be angry, my brother and sister-in-law didn't mean it like that. Wu Jinshu strode over and slapped Wu Jinjin across the face. You shut up. Wu Jinjin was stunned by the slap. Wu Jinshu continued. Comrade, we are both parents. I understand you and I hope you can understand me too. We as parents, were unaware of this situation from the beginning. Had we known, we would have never allowed Yin Yin to marry. Yin Yin is only 17 this year. She still needs to continue her studies. Mother Wu nodded. All right, I'm not unreasonable. Since you want to call off the marriage, just bring out 6,000 yuan. At these words, Wu Jinshu sighed. I don't have 6,000 yuan right now, comrade. Can you be flexible? I can write you an IOU. Rest assured, we will definitely repay this money. Grandma Wu heard this and felt trouble brewing. No, she could not let Wu Jinshu write an IOU to Mother Wu. She still wanted to live in that small Western-style house. Grandma Wu quickly intervened. An IOU? 6,000 yuan is not 6 yuan. Our family can hardly scrape together 600 yuan, let alone 6,000 yuan. Mother-in-law, please don't accept his IOU, he can't pay it back. Wu Jinshu clenched his teeth and said, Then I'll go sell my blood. Sell organs. Rest assured, my wife and I will definitely repay this 6,000 yuan. Just then Wu Yinyin burst out of the house. Mom and Dad, I don't want you to sell blood or organs. I'll marry. I'm willing to marry Wu Chang. 17 years ago, if not for her parents, she would have already died. Repaying them now was the least she could do. What was marrying after all? Wu Chang's family was in such good condition, she should be content. Mother Wu said with a smile. See, isn't everyone happy now? Grandma Wu also relaxed. Shaolin. Yan Erju held Wu Yanyan's hand. No, I won't let you marry. Mom, I'm fine. Fearing that Yan Erju would worry, Wu Yanyan kept a smile on her face. I am willing to marry Wu Chang, I really am. Mother Wu came over, broke up the two hands, and pushed Wu Yanyan to Wu Chang's side. Big sister, if you ask me, you should respect the child's wishes. Rest assured, Yanyan won't be mistreated marrying into our family. Just look at the life your family leads. Is that really fit for people? She can only have good fortune with us. Seeing how cooperative Wu Yanyan was, Mother Wu was significantly relieved. Selling organs sounds easy. But could you two really go sell organs? Not to be blunt, but what if you both died on the operating table? How could Yanyan be at peace afterwards? Moreover, you two still have 3 children. Who will provide for those 3 children in the future? Chapter 846. Yang giving life lessons online _5. Wu's mother patted Yen Urge's back. Big sister, you can rest assured, Yin won't suffer with us. No, I can't sell my daughter. I can't sell my daughter no matter what. Yen Urju cried inconsolably. Wu's mother laughed. This is marrying off a daughter, not selling one. I can't marry her off. I can't marry her off. Yen Urju shouted. Jinshu, bring Xiaoyan back. Hurry. Only then did Wu Jinshu react, wiping away her tears and going to pull Wu Yanyan. Wu Chang immediately blocked in front of Wu Yanyan. Wu's mother made a gesture with her eyes to several men from the community. They immediately took control of Wu Jinshu and Yen Urju. Wu's mother turned to Wu Chang. What are you dawdling for? Get your bride back home now. Oh, okay. The crackling sounds of firecrackers rose, drowning out the cries of Wu Jinshu and Yen Urju. Wu's mother was a person of status, and for today's wedding procession, she had specially rented a Santana, with a dozen bicycles following behind. With one hand, Wu Chang led Wu Yanyan, and with the other, he opened the car door. Wu Yanyan looked back at her parents, then with a heavy heart, got into the car. Seeing that Wu Yanyan was in the car, they only then released Wu Jinshu and Yen Urju. Wu Jinshu and Yen Urju immediately rushed out, sprinting behind the car. Yanyan, Xiaoyan. Wu Yanyan looked back at them from inside the car, and before she knew it, she was also in tears. The car was fast, but Wu Jinshu and Yen Urju did not give up, falling and getting up again, a sight so heart-wrenching to watch. Stop the car now. Wu Yanyan knocked on the rear window. Don't worry, Yanyan, I will treat you well in the future. Wu Chang patted Wu Yanyan's hand. Wu Yanyan could not care less about anything else and cried. I'm begging you, can you just stop the car? Wu Chang looked up at Wu's mother. Wu's mother flatly refused. No. The bride cannot go back the way she came. It's bad luck. Wu Chang said. Mom says no, so let's just forget it. That's when screech. A sound of urgent braking ripped through the air. Everyone in the car lurched forward from the sudden momentum, their bodies crashing heavily towards the front. What's happening? Wu's mother looked at the driver. The driver himself was quite frightened. There's someone blocking the road. Perhaps they're after wedding candies? Many people, in order to get a lucky share, would intercept wedding cars, asking for wedding candies, peanuts and such. Wu's mother said. You all stay put. I'll go and take a look. Wu's mother opened the car door and stepped out to see an imported car blocking their way. They didn't seem like they were here for wedding candies. Just then, the car door opened, and a slender figure emerged from inside. Backlit, her face was somewhat difficult to make out. Wu's mother squinted her eyes, her temples throbbing furiously. Why did she feel? This person seemed to bear ill will? Wu's mother felt a panicky retreat, stepping many paces backward. The figure approached closer, and the face previously hidden in sunlight gradually became visible. It was a very beautiful and bold set of features, as clear and pure as snow. Are you Wu Chang's mother? Anai Yang stopped in front of Wu's mother. Wu's mother swallowed hard. Yes, I am. This young lady couldn't be more than 17 or 18 years old, but Wu's mother felt the nerves one has when a subordinate meets a superior leader in front of her. That kind of awe was emanating from deep within, impossible to suppress. Where is Yanyan? Anai Yang continued. Inside the car, when Wu Yanyan saw Anai Yang, somehow her heart, which had been suspended, suddenly relaxed at that moment. That feeling was like someone who had been blind for a long time suddenly seeing sunlight. Disregarding Wu Chang's attempt to stop her, Wu Yanyan opened the car door and stepped out. Yang. Yanyan. Anai Yang smiled faintly. Big sister. Wu Erlong burst out of the car, hugging Wu Yanyan. Wu Dalong, following Anai Yang's instructions, ran back to pick up the youngest brother. Wu's mother's frown deepened. Yanyan, why did you get out of the car? Get back in quickly. You have no right to tell Yanyan to get back in the car. Anai Yang spoke indifferently. Wu's mother declared confidently. Yanyan is our Wu family's daughter-in-law. How do I not have the right? Qiangzi, get out of the car and bring your bride up. A big man like you can't even keep a hold of your own bride. Wu Chang immediately got out of the car. Wu Yinyan instinctively hid behind an Yang. Seeing that things didn't look right, Wu Lan quietly slipped away, planning to bring Wu Jinjin and Grandma over. Chapter 847. Yang giving life lessons online _6. Fortunately, the Wu family wasn't far away. Yinyan, hurry back with me. Don't make Mom angry, or I'll beat you up. Wu Chang waved his fist at Wu Yinyan. But before his hand reached Wu Yinyan, his knee was suddenly racked with intense pain, and in an instant, Wu Chang was kneeling on the ground. Wu's mother's face paled. How could you hit someone? Qiangzi, are you okay? Do you have no regard for the law? I'm telling you, I'm going to call the police. And Yang smiled faintly. You can kidnap someone in broad daylight, so why can't I hit someone? Besides, the person who swung first was your son. Legally, this is self-defense. How is it kidnapping? Wu Yinyan is our daughter-in-law who we paid 3,000 yuan to marry. The kidnapper is you. Wu's mother pulled out the agreement from her pocket. Do you see this? It's clearly written in black and white on this agreement. Just then Wu Jinshu and Yan Erju rushed over from behind. Yan Erju said, We didn't take her dowry money, not a single cent. We don't sell our daughter. Wu's mother's complexion turned white again, furious. From what you're saying, you want to deny the debt? Don't think just because you have someone backing you that you can deny the debt. And Yang spoke calmly. Don't rush to anger. I'm a reasonable person. As I know, the person who took this money is an aunt and uncle, right? The person who took the dowry money is me. Suddenly, an elderly voice sounded from behind. Wu's grandmother and Wu Jinjin squeezed through the crowd. Who is this little girl meddling in our family's business? Wu Jinjin quickly laughed it off. In-law mother, don't be angry, we don't know this little girl. Hearing that Yang was unrelated to the Wu family, Wu's mother breathed a sigh of relief. An outsider wanting to stand up for Wu Yinyan? Difficult. From what Wu Dalong and Wu Erlong said earlier, Yang guessed that they must be Wu Yanyan's aunt and grandmother. Who knew these two were such characters, selling off Yanyan, and yet acting so righteous? Yang nodded slightly. Oh, so it's you who took the money. Then the person who put their fingerprint on it is also you? Of course it's me. Wu's grandmother said. I'm Yanyan's grandmother. Traditionally, a marriage is arranged by parents. Whomever I decide she should marry, she will. Yang smiled. So you know about parental commands and arranged marriages. Have you forgotten your role? Wu's grandmother choked and retorted. Who is this little girl? Our Wu family affairs are none of your business. Yang turned her gaze to Wu's grandmother. Not long ago, I just recognized your brother and sister-in-law as my godparents. As her sister, shouldn't I intervene when Yinyan is treated this way? Her tone was calm yet carried an indescribable force that made Wu's grandmother shiver inwardly. Wu Yinyan looked at Yang in surprise, tears suddenly appearing. This feeling of having someone to rely on. It was indescribable in words. Wu Jinshu and Yan Erju were also surprised, but beyond the surprise, they felt grateful. Blessed by heaven. Finally, someone was willing to stand up for their family. Knowing Yang was not someone to be trifled with and not wanting to escalate the situation, Wu's mother conceded. Fine. Since you want to involve yourself in this, then compensate us 6,000 yuan. Otherwise, you're not taking her with you today. 3,000 had turned into 6,000, but when she thought about it carefully, she wasn't at a loss. Though Grandma Wu was somewhat reluctant, she didn't say much more. If Yang paid the 6,000 yuan, she'd still have 1,900 left. And from Yang's attire, it was clear she wasn't just anybody. Could Yang afford the 6,000 yuan, and still worry about the cost of a small Western-style house? By then, she would definitely be able to afford a small Western-style house. Auntie, you don't seem old, but you certainly talk big. Yang looked at Wu's mother. So, do you think you can still restrict Yanyan's freedom? Wu's mother, holding the agreement, said. Do you think you can still deny the debt? Smiling, Yang responded. Would you like to see whose signature is on this agreement? There's an owner for every debt. Find whoever signed it, and ask them for the money. Wu's mother retorted. Young lady, so you want to argue, huh? Take a good look. It clearly says here that this is Yan Yan's betrothal money. If you don't pay, who will? Ni Yang turned to Grandma Wu. The person who fingerprinted it is her. You should tell her this. Hearing this, Grandma Wu was so frightened that she clutched her pocket tightly. She had no intention of paying. Ni Yang was so wealthy and also Yan Yan's sworn sister. She ought to cover this expense for Yan Yan, and then compensate her with a small Western-style house. Wu's mother was about to explode with anger when Ni Yang leaned forward slightly, casting a large shadow over her. A gentle voice then whispered in her ear, "Auntie, let me remind you that Yan Yan is still a minor. If this goes to the police station, it might even lead to human trafficking charges against you. This written agreement is the evidence. From what I understand, the buyer usually gets a harsher sentence than the seller." The last sentence, though spoken evenly, visibly paled Wu's mother's face. She had calculated everything except the fact that Yan Yan was not yet of age. Suddenly, the agreement in black and white became a hot potato. As Ni Yang finished her sentence and straightened up with a smile on her face, she clapped her hands. "Auntie, there's evidence in this black and white text. It seems the debtors are Wu Jinjin and Wu's missus, right? Remember to ask them for the money. If they don't pay, go ahead and call the police to arrest them." Wu's mother was momentarily unable to comprehend what she'd heard. Whose side was Ni Yang on exactly? Wasn't she here to help Yan Yan? Then why was she asking her to get the money from Grandma Wu and Wu Jinjin? Weren't Grandma Wu and Wu Jinjin part of Yan Yan's family? After speaking, Ni Yang leaned in and whispered something else to Wu's mother. Wu's mother nodded. After finishing, Ni Yang waved at Wu's mother. "Goodbye, Auntie. Remember to ask them for the money." Just then Wu Dalong came over carrying Xiaolong, and Ni Yang called out, "Godfather, Godmother, Yin Yin Dalong Erlong, let's get in the car." When Grandma Wu and Wu Jinjin saw everyone boarding the luxurious sedan, they panicked. Everyone was getting in, so they had to as well. One was Yan Yan's grandmother, the other his aunt. It made no sense for Yan Yan's family of 6 to go enjoy themselves without them. Just as the 2 women were about to follow, Wu's mother stopped them. "You two need to pay back the money first." Crying, Grandma Wu said, "I don't have any money. Let Yan Yan's sworn sister pay, she's rich." Wu's mother firmly replied, "I don't care. I'll go after whoever owes the money. It's your 2 fingerprints pressed on this." Chapter 848. Times Create Heroes. A gentleman on the beam seeing her mother demanding money, Grandma Wu immediately resorted to her specialty. She sat on the ground and started throwing a tantrum, crying and wailing. But Wu's mother wasn't someone to be trifled with. During her years as a street director, what kind of troublemaker hadn't she seen? "You throwing a tantrum with me won't work. Debt repayment is a matter of principle. It was you who took the money. The thumbprints are yours and your daughter's. Today, either pay up or go to jail for 8 de liang." Wu Jinjin was startled. She definitely didn't want to go to prison. She was uneducated and lacked culture. Unaware that the agreement wasn't legally binding, she only knew that repaying debts was the natural order of things. "Dear relatives, please don't be angry. Although the money was taken by my mother, it was meant for Yan Yan's dowry. You should ask my brother and his wife for it. Their goddaughter is so rich. They surely won't miss these 6,000 yuan." Holding the agreement, Wu's mother said, "These are your mother's and your thumbprints. If I report this to the police, they will only look for you too. Forget it, I don't want the 6,000 anymore. Just give me back 3,000. I'll just take the loss this time." It's impossible to get Grandma Wu to part with the money. Once the money was in her pocket, it was hers. "I don't have any money." Grandma Wu clutched her pocket tightly, as if to say there wasn't 300 silver taels there. Wu's mother laughed. "No money, is it? Well, I'll just report you to the police. Qiangzi, go to the police station right now and get this old shrew and the young one arrested. No pay, no freedom. You really think I can be easily fooled, huh?" Wu Chang was a simpleton and, hearing his mother's words, immediately pushed his bicycle, saying, "All right, Mom, I'm on it." Wu Jinjin turned white with fear. Mom, please take the money out. I don't want to go to jail. I have elderly and young to care for. I don't want to go to jail." Seeing that Wu Chang was truly about to report to the police, Grandma Wu got scared too. At her ripe old age, she certainly didn't want to die in a cell. She immediately stood up from the ground and grabbed Wu Chang's bicycle. "I'll pay back the money, just let it be." Wu's mother signaled to Wu Chang with her eyes, and he stopped his bicycle. Grandma Wu pulled out a shabby cloth pouch from her pocket, unwrapped it layer by layer to reveal the crisp blue-green 100 renminbi banknotes inside. She hadn't even warmed up this money before it swiftly became someone else's. As Wu's mother took the money from Grandma Wu, the old lady clutched the banknotes tightly. Wu's mother had to pull hard to retrieve them. After counting, she frowned. "How come there's over 1,000 yuan missing?" That 1,100 yuan had been spent on Wu Jinjin's bicycle and sewing machine, and Grandma Wu had used a dozen more to buy meat and new clothes. Grandma Wu said, "That 1,000 was used to buy things. That's all I have left now." Hearing this, Wu Jinjin's heart skipped a beat. Her bicycle and sewing machine had only been bought a few days ago. She hadn't even learned to ride the bike, and she hadn't been willing to use the sewing machine yet. Wu's mother continued, "Then those things will compensate for the money." Wu Jinjin screamed, "No way. I don't agree." Wu's mother turned to Wu Chang. "Qiangzi, maybe you should visit the police station after all." "Okay." Wu Chang nodded. Wu Jinjin rushed to hold Wu Chang's bike. "Compensate? Well, compensate you." Wu's mother was secretly thrilled. She had thought she'd lost those 3,000 yuan for good when Wu Yinyun was still a minor, but to her surprise, she managed to get it back. And it was all thanks to Anai Yang's tip. So the procession set out to take the sewing machine and bicycle from Wu Jinjin's home. When they returned home, Wu's mother unceremoniously burned the agreement. After Wu's mother left, Grandma Wu sat in the empty courtyard, sobbing and wailing. Wu Jinjin sat beside her, joining in the crying. The mother and daughter had pinned their hopes on Wu Yinyun coming into a fortune, but in the end, it had all been in vain. After a good while of crying, Wu Jinjin gradually calmed down. "Mom, don't cry. He's still your biological son after all. Now that they've recognized such a capable goddaughter, I refuse to believe he'll disown you, his own mother." At these words, Grandma Wu seemed to instantly find her backbone. "Right. Jinjin, you're right." Wu Jinjin went on. "Besides, my brother and his wife still have their home here. I refuse to believe they'll abandon it altogether. When the time comes, you must enjoy the good life with them, and don't forget about me." Grandma Wu patted Wu Jinjin's hand. "Don't worry, Jinjin. With your brother's goddaughter being so rich, I won't let you down." Chapter 849. Times Create Heroes. A gentleman on the beam _2. On the other side, the Wu family of 6 sat in the car. At that time, traffic management in Beijing was not as strict as in later years, so even if the car was overloaded, no one cared. The car sped quickly, sending dust flying everywhere. Sitting in the back seat, Yin Erju, frightened, said, "Sister Yang, where are you taking us?" Anai Yang smiled and said, "Don't worry, godmother. You'll know when we get there." "Godmother?" Yin Erju was stunned. She thought Anai Yang was just pretending, but even on the car, Anai Yang still called her godmother. Anai Yang continued, "Yin Yin and I have a special connection. I also really like the 3 brothers Wu Dalong, Erlong and Xiaolong. Godfather and godmother, if you don't mind, I would like to be your goddaughter from now on." Wu Jinshu, not expecting Anai Yang to say that, quickly said, "We don't mind at all, Sister Yang. I think your aunt and I haven't." Wu Jinshu hadn't even finished speaking when Anai Yang said, "Since you don't mind, then from now on, you two are my godparents and Yin Yun is my sister. Wu Dalong, Erlong, and Xiaolong are my brothers." "That's great. I like Sister Yang." Wu Dalong blurted out, "I like you too." Anai Yang turned her gaze to Wu Yinyun and asked, "Yinyun, what do you think?" Wu Yinyun, sitting in the passenger seat, turned to Anai Yang and said, "Sister Yang." She was truly grateful to Anai Yang. If it hadn't been for Anai Yang today, she would have had to marry Wu Chang. Anai Yang smiled slightly. Soon, the car entered a community and beautifully swerved to stop in front of an apartment building. Anai Yang had bought many houses in the urban area before, and this apartment building was one of her properties. The house was simply furnished, but it had everything from pots and pans. Before Suehua was back in Beijing, they occasionally stayed here for a few days. Godfather, godmother, someone comes regularly to clean here. Except for the utensils we've used, everything else is new. You can live here from now on, Yang said. How could we possibly do that? Wu Jinshu exclaimed. Sister Yang, this is your house. How could we live here? Yang, smiling, said, Don't worry, godfather. It's not like I'm giving you this house for free. I'll charge you 10 yuan rent each month. Anyway, it's vacant otherwise. When you're later financially stable and want to buy a place, I can sell this apartment to you. Although Yang didn't care about this particular property, she knew Wu Jinshu and Yan Erju were honest people who wouldn't accept her gift without cause, hence, she proposed renting it to them. The apartment had 4 rooms and 2 living rooms, and with 2 bathrooms, there was plenty of space for everyone in the Wu family. Wu Jinshu looked around the house. Sister Yang, such a nice place, and you only charge 10 yuan a month. Even though it was simply decorated, in Wu Jinshu's eyes it was extremely luxurious. The house had everything, even tile and wooden flooring. After all, even Wu Lan's basic mud house rented for 10 yuan a month. Yang said, The house remains vacant anyway, and I wouldn't feel comfortable renting it to strangers. Renting it to you and godmother gives me peace of mind. With that, Wu Jinshu felt much relieved. Yang then said, Godmother, look, there's a small yard in front of the first floor. You could plant some vegetables there when you're free. Yan Erju really liked the house, but she was still a bit embarrassed. Sister Yang, the rent you're asking is too low. Yang, smiling, said, We're not strangers after all. I couldn't rent this place out for a single cent when it's vacant. Wu Yanyan also liked this new home, but was concerned about Grandma Wu. Now that we've all moved here, what about Grandma? Wu Jinshu didn't say anything. Yan Erju was still upset. Your grandma deserves it. Wu Yanyan continued. But Grandma is so elderly now, and when we were leaving, Aunt Wu was still asking her for money. Even though her grandmother was willing to marry her off to Wu Chang, Wu Yanyan still felt a bit worried for her. Especially since she had found out she was not the biological daughter of Wu Jinshu and Yan Erju. Seeing Wu Yanyan like this, Yang spoke bluntly. Godmother is right, your grandma deserves it, it's her own fault. Your family's life isn't unbearable. She had a good life and chose not to live it, instead causing trouble. Have you ever thought about what would happen if you had married Wu Chang? Chapter 850. Times Create Heroes. A Gentleman on the Beam _3. Yang paused for a moment and then continued. After marrying Wu Chang, you would transform from a young girl into a housewife, not only bearing children for Wu Chang, but also acting as a stepmother to his 2 daughters. You are only 17 years old this year. If you don't marry Wu Chang, you can continue your studies, go to university, and have endless possibilities in the future. Your life was almost completely ruined by your grandmother's actions. Yang's words were cutting, and Wu Yanyan's face changed. But she is, after all, my grandmother. Upon hearing this, Yang knew Wu Yanyan would definitely be soft-hearted towards Grandma Wu in the future. Knowing how manipulative Grandma Wu could be, if Wu Yanyan became soft-hearted, who knew what she might end up doing? No. It was essential to completely sever the notion Wu Yanyan held towards the Wu family. Yang narrowed her eyes and continued. Just because she's your grandmother, does that mean she can just sell you off to someone else to become a stepmother? Yanyan, if you think just because your grandmother is old, you should forgive all her faults, then you might as well go back and marry Wu Chang or even Zhao Chang. This time, I absolutely will not meddle anymore. Wu Yanyan's face went pale and she immediately explained. No, Sister Yang, that's not what I mean. I wasn't suggesting you are meddling too much. I'm just a bit worried about her because she's getting old. Yang remained calm. Yanyan, everyone must take responsibility for their faults. Old age is not an excuse to escape responsibility. Your grandmother is only reaping what she sowed. Uncle, don't you think I'm right? At that last sentence, Yang looked up at Wu Jinshu. Wu Jinshu initially shared the same thoughts as Wu Yanyan. After all, that woman was his own mother, and he couldn't just ignore her. But after listening to Yang, he came to a sudden realization. Yes, old age should not be an excuse to avoid responsibilities. If it wasn't for Yang today, Wu Yanyan's life would be ruined. Wu Jinshu nodded. Yang is right. Seeing Wu Jinshu agree, Yang sighed in relief, thinking he might have been foolishly filial. Wu Yanyan nodded. Yang, I understand now. Yang then took out a stack of RMB from her bag. Godfather, here is 4,000 yuan. Consider it a loan from me. Since she had decided to help Wu Yanyan, Yang was committed to supporting her all the way. Plus, Yang was becoming more and more certain about the outcome she suspected, although the results were not out yet. But she could see traces of Kuihua's past kindness and weakness in Wu Yanyan. She was still worried about Grandma Wu even after all the mistreatment she had received from her. Wu Jinshu hastily refused. Yang, you've already helped our family a lot. I can't accept this money. Yang smiled and said, Godfather, just hear me out, don't be in a hurry to refuse. Your family has 4 children, and after the second half of the year, Yanyun, Dalong, and Erlong will definitely need to continue their studies. With the rent and utility bills, there will be significant expenses again soon. Although you and Godmother can make 80 yuan a month working at the noodle restaurant, relying on those 80 yuan, you will never be able to make serious money. Since the year before last, our area has completely abolished the coupon-based shopping system, and individual enterprises are also gradually being accepted by everyone, so I suggest you take this money and start a business. Once you've made some money, you can return what you owe me with interest. Now is a good opportunity to make money, and Yang didn't want Wu Jinshu to miss such a great chance. There won't be another 80s. Do business. Wu Jinshu was startled. I don't know anything, how can I do business? Yang paused, then asked, what did you and Godmother do for work before? Urju replied, I carried rice at the rice shop, and your godfather worked as a laborer on the construction site. Yang narrowed her eyes. So Godfather, you must know a lot of construction workers from your time on the construction site, right? Yes, Wu Jinshu nodded. The workers at the construction site I used to work at were almost all from the same village. It's hard for outsiders to integrate into a group of construction workers introduced by fellow villagers. Yang thought for a moment and then said, then you could start a construction company. It would be even more convenient if everyone is from the same hometown. She very well remembered many real estate magnates in future generations who made their fortunes through construction companies. And in the 80s, China was developing, with countless skyscrapers yet to rise from the ground. Chapter 851. Times Create Heroes. A Gentleman on the Beam _4. The construction industry is really in demand. Heroes are made by the times, policies, and opportunities. As long as you seize the moment, in this era full of business opportunities, becoming wealthy is truly easy. But your godmother and I can't read, Wu Jinshu said, scratching his head somewhat embarrassedly. Yang replied, Yanyun still has more than 3 months before school starts. You and godmother can take this time to let her teach you some things, to recognize a few characters first, then you can slowly learn later on. Hard work never fails the determined, and Yang had also known many rich people in the future, who hadn't even stepped foot into a school. Their only difference from educated people was a graduation certificate. Yang continued, if you want to give it a try, I can help you look out for a storefront. You can start planning now. After all, you have worked on the construction site before, so you don't need to worry about connections. You don't need much capital to start a construction company. When there's work, call the brothers. When there's none, everyone goes home. Wu Jinshu was hesitant. He was afraid he wouldn't do well. Yang added, Uncle, you're still young. Even if not for yourself, you should try for the kids. You've worked on construction sites for so long and definitely know a lot of people, and are quite familiar with the industry. There's truly nothing to worry about. Many outsiders have succeeded, and you're far more knowledgeable than them. What if it fails on me? Asked Wu Jinshu. He used to just think about finding a job with good pay, never considering going it alone. Yang said with a smile, If you want to get rich and expand your business, don't be afraid of failure. Because no one's success comes that easily. Hey race, what will do? I'll give you another 5,000 yuan, which will be my investment in buying shares. If you make money, you can share the profits with me at the end of the year. As she spoke, Young took another 5,000 yuan in cash from her bag. Usually, Young wouldn't carry so much cash in her bag, but today she planned to deposit it in the bank. Yang, aren't you afraid? Wu Jinshu was startled by Yang. She just kept handing out 5,000 yuan. Wasn't she afraid of losing money? Yang smiled. What's there to be afraid of? You'll never get rich if you're always timid. Godfather, it's my money and I'm not afraid, so what are you afraid of? Wu Jinshu was stunned for a moment. At that moment, Yan Erju suddenly spoke. Dad, I've decided what Yang said makes sense. Why don't you give it a try? What if it works out? Wu Yanyan said. Dad, I also think Yang is right. Seeing that the time was ripe, Yang said, Godfather, in this life, people should always take risks without reservation at least once. Without trying, you'll never know how great your potential is. Wu Jinshu nodded. All right. Yang, I'll listen to you. Okay. Yang nodded. Then I'll watch out for storefronts. Wu Jinshu continued. Thanks so much, Yang. You've helped our family so much. I don't even know how to thank you properly. Yang looked at Wu Jinshu and said, I think the best thank you is not to be soft-hearted. Wu Jinshu knew what Yang meant. Don't worry, I won't be. After talking about these things, Yang went on, Godfather, Godmother, it's your first time moving over today. First, get to know the surrounding area. The house is fully equipped with sheets and quilt covers. You just need to buy some clothes to change into. Just turn right outside the community gate, and there's a department store. As for your old home, I suggest you don't go back for now. Okay, Wu Jinshu nodded. Yang picked up her bag. I have other matters, so I'll leave first. Wu Jinshu and Yan Erju wanted to see Yang off, but she said with a smile. Godfather, Godmother, no need to fuss. Let Yanyan escort me. Yang left the building with Wu Yanyan. Yang, thank you so much for today. Yang replied with a smile. Yanyan, you've already thanked me. And I'll say it again, the best thanks is to not be soft-hearted. With someone like your grandmother, don't think about repaying evil with kindness. If you do, she will only ask for more and it'll be endless. It's been hard for your family to find peace. Don't let an old lady disturb it. Right, Wu Yanyan nodded. Yang patted Wu Yanyan on the shoulder. As long as you understand. I'll be off now. Yang, be careful on your way, said Wu Yanyan. Don't worry, Yang assured before getting into the car and driving off. Chapter 852. Times Create Heroes. A Gentleman on the Beam _5. Yang recalled how she had raced the car on the way over, and Wu Yanyan continued. Yang, take it slow on your way back. MHM. Yang nodded, I will. However, before even a blink of an eye, the car had already disappeared from Wu Yanyan's view. This is way too fast, isn't it? What happened to driving slowly? Wu Yanyan opened her mouth in disbelief. Yang hadn't felt this adrenaline rush of speed in a long time. In her previous life, because of Beijing's traffic congestion, she would go to official race tracks to experience the thrill of racing. But now in the 80s, Beijing's traffic signals were still not fully functional, and it was difficult for an ordinary family to buy even a bicycle. Where could traffic congestion come from? Without traffic restrictions or speed limits, and without waiting for traffic lights, the boss and I was very satisfied. Passers-by were continuously amazed. This is too impressive. Du Jiaojiao's eyes widened as she quickly tugged on Grandpa Du's sleeve. Look over there. Grandpa Du remained calm, twirling his Buddha beads. I saw it. To Du Jiaojiao, it might be incredibly impressive, but for Grandpa Du, it was nothing unusual. He had once driven while being pursued, navigating unharmed through a hail of bullets. Such a small trick could only deceive a naive girl like Du Jiaojiao. Without a second thought, he knew it was something a rich young man would use to attract girls. Just then a strand of long hair floated out of the car window, tracing a perfect arc through the air. A woman? Grandpa Du raised his eyebrows slightly. My goodness! The driver is actually a woman. Du Jiaojiao nearly jumped for joy. Did you see that just now? Women drivers in this era were rare, Du Jiaojiao included. In this era, a woman driving was a novelty, so Grandpa Du remained calm. I saw it. Du Jiaojiao looked at him with disdain. How can you look so unexcited? There's nothing to be excited about, Grandpa Du said in a bland tone. Du Jiaojiao shook her head. It's so boring to be with someone like you. Grandpa Du said nothing, calmly twirling his Buddha beads. Du Jiaojiao went on to say, I've decided from today on I'm going to learn to drive. Grandpa Du replied, I'll have Ziki teach you. Can't you teach me yourself? Du Jiaojiao knew Grandpa Du was a good driver. Don't worry, Ziki has more than enough skill to teach you, Grandpa Du assured her. Du Jiaojiao did not say much more. Anai Yang parked the car in front of Fragrant Beauty, and then walked in. Coincidentally, Fragrant Beauty was also Du Jiaojiao and Grandpa Du's destination. Seeing the familiar sedan, Du Jiaojiao exclaimed in surprise. Isn't that the car we just saw? Indeed it is. Grandpa Du had a good memory for license plate numbers. I really want to see what the driver looks like, Du Jiaojiao continued. But the most important thing right now is to fill our stomachs. Let's go in quickly. The waiter led the two upstairs. The usual for both of you? MHM. Du Jiaojiao nodded. He's vegetarian. Grandpa Du's hand paused while twirling the Buddha beads, ultimately remaining silent. The taste of Fragrant Bowtie's dishes really was beyond reproach. Even a simple vegetarian dish was full of color, fragrance, and flavor. When the two left Fragrant Beauty, the sedan was still parked at the entrance. That person hasn't left yet. Shall we stand here for a bit and see what the driver looks like? Suggested Du Jiaojiao. I'm not as bored as you, Grandpa Du said lacklusterly. Du Jiaojiao had anticipated the response and waved her hand. Never mind, let's go back. As soon as they returned to Mansion Deming, the manager came over carrying a bird cage. Grandpa Du, we just caught this myna. It's very smart and can even talk. Grandpa Du's main interests were usually feeding fish and playing with birds, so Mansion Deming had a pond full of imported koi. Hearing about the talking myna, Grandpa Du's interest was piqued. Oh, what can it say? The manager thought for a moment, then said, I think it's Ing. Yes, that's it. Ing. Just then, the bird in the cage thrashed its wings fiercely and snapped. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. At this, the manager's face showed an embarrassed expression. It really was saying Ing just now. Grandpa Du said, let it go. Chapter 853. Times create heroes. A gentleman on the beam _6. The steward was taken aback. Master Du twirled the Buddha beads. This myna bird's feathers shine brightly and it chirps crisply. Clearly it has been domesticated. Aren't you afraid its owner will be worried, now that you've captured it? The steward continued. I figure this myna must have sneaked out by itself. A bird like this, kept in captivity for a long time and suddenly set free outside, has absolutely no survival skills. If released, it wouldn't only fail to find its way home, but might also face the risk of starving to death. The myna in the cage, as if understanding the steward's words, started calling out desperately. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. Master Du nodded. You have a point, let's keep it then. This myna was indeed amusing. He had raised many birds, including parrots and mynas, but never had he seen a bird that could curse. Master Du, with his right hand still holding the Buddha beads, flicked the bird cage. Be good. With these two mild words, the previously agitated myna calmed down instantly. Its feathers, which had been standing on end, gradually relaxed as it shrank into a corner, trembling. But as soon as Master Du turned away, the previously silent bird became fierce again, yelling, Son of a bitch! Son of a bitch! Master Du glanced back slightly. Starve it for a meal. Okay. The steward nodded. This time, the myna in the cage dared not make a fuss anymore. Realizing that preserving its own life was the priority, its expression was particularly aggrieved. The steward chuckled, saying, It seems to understand us. Anai Yang handed over the storefront matters to Gulanji. Gulanji had wide connections in Beijing, And for her, renting a storefront was a minor matter. After that, Yang discussed some other matters with her. And by the time she returned to the Zheng family, it was already past 8 at night. It had truly been an exhausting day. Yang took a luxurious rose oil bath and went to bed. The next morning, the first thing Tsuehua said to Yang was, Yang, Duo might be lost. Duo is lost. Yang frowned slightly. Tsuehua nodded and continued, I haven't seen Duo since yesterday afternoon. Last night, I specifically left a window open for it, but it didn't return. This was quite strange. Although Duo was free-range, it used to come home several times a day, and it rested at night in the artificial tree inside the villa. Yang continued, Did it go back to Jinghua village? Duo was a nostalgic bird and occasionally flew back to Jinghua village for a visit. No, Tsuehua shook her head. I just called your aunt and she said she hasn't seen Duo return. Yang picked up a bun. Then I'll go look for it. Where will you look? Tsuehua asked. I'll check the nearby park, Yang replied. Walking out of the Zheng family, Yang ate the bun while calling for Duo. Duo, although a bird, was smart and understood human nature. Whenever she called its name, as long as it heard her, no matter the distance, it would fly to her. But this time, Yang almost shouted herself hoarse and still saw no sign of Duo, not even in the nearby park. Could it really be lost? Yang's face turned pale, and suddenly, the bun in her hand lost its appeal. When she first brought Duo home, it was just a little bird with barely grown feathers. She had struggled to raise it, dealing with its mess until it had grown, and now it was lost. Duo. Chirp. Just then, a black shape flew toward her from a distance. It was Duo. Yang breathed a sigh of relief, but as the dark figure approached, she realized it wasn't Duo after all. It was just another myna bird that looked exactly like Duo. Yet from Yang, the seasoned mother's perspective, this myna was a bit uglier than Duo. Duo would always be the most beautiful child in her eyes. Tweet. This myna bird had been circling above Yang's head. And Yang just realized that this bird was one of Duo's many flings. As a womanizer of the bird world, Duo had brought quite a few female myna birds home for a free meal. Yang was particularly impressed with this myna bird because of its unique claws. Do you mean to tell me you know where Duo is? Tweet. The myna bird flapped its wings, turned direction, and flew off, glancing back at Yang as it went. Yang immediately started running to keep up. Fortunately, Yang was in good shape and didn't feel tired even after running 2 or 3 kilometers. Tweet. The myna bird stopped in front of an ancient-looking mansion. Is Duo in there? Yang asked. Tweet. Then I'll knock on the door. The myna bird continued to hover above Yang. An old-fashioned sign reading Deming Xian hung on the grand entrance. Anyone living in Deming Xian was no ordinary person, and naturally, one couldn't enter without an appointment. Yang turned away at the door, felt a headache coming on. Tweet. The myna bird overhead seemed frantic. What should I do? Yang extended a finger and massaged her temple. Just then, Yang noticed that the walls of Deming Xian weren't very tall. Maybe she could climb over. Although it seemed a bit wrong, saving a bird was more important. She wasn't there to steal anything after all. Yang made her way to the back of Deming Xian, quickly scaled the wall, and jumped down neatly. Due to unfamiliarity with the terrain, the spot she chose to land was right by an arched door. And just as she landed, someone happened to be passing by. Protect Du Yi. The area immediately went into high alert. Walking in front, Du Jiao instinctively moved to shield Du Yi. Du Yi, a grown man, didn't need a woman's protection. Pushing Du Jiao aside, he stepped forward. When Yang saw Du Yi, she thought she was seeing things. Ha! Am I seeing things? If I had known this was your place, I would have come through the main entrance. Du Yi didn't seem surprised at all. His narrow eyes twinkled with mischief. How come you've turned into a rooftop gentleman? Yang patted the dust off her clothes. A rooftop gentleman is out of necessity. I'm here looking for my son. Your son? Du Yi frowned slightly, incredulous. When did you have a son? How do I not know about this? And I Yang arched her brow. Look at you. Do I need to report to you when I have a son? Tweet tweet. Just then, the myna bird circling overhead called out again. And I Yang followed the myna bird forward and turned to look at Du Yi. Since this is your turf, I want stand on ceremony. No need for ceremony. Du Yi's expression slowly returned to normal. Du Jiaojiao tugged at Du Yi's sleeve and whispered, Did you bring back this romantic debt from outside? She's quite pretty. That's not it. Du Yi paused, twisting the Buddha beads in his hand. Don't talk nonsense. Du Jiaojiao rolled her eyes speechlessly. You even have a son, yet you still won't admit it. Chapter 854. Offended the wrong person. Dog food manufacturer Du Jiaojiao had many mishaps with romance previously, which coupled with Ni Yang coming to find her son, led to some misunderstandings. Gazing at Ni Yang, Du Jiaojiao's eyes sparkled with admiration. I say, you've got quite the taste this time. Such a beautiful young girl. And I doubt we could find another like her in all of Shanghai. She had a son for you, and you're still not satisfied? That son isn't mine, Du said with a tone of helplessness. Du Jiaojiao stared wide-eyed at Du, incredulous. You've been cheated on? Du's breath hitched. You're venturing way off topic. Then what do you mean? If you haven't been cheated on, why deny your own son? That's not right. Du Jiaojiao argued. Twisting the Buddha beads, Du replied, Stop guessing. Ni Yang and I are not what you think. She is also the person who saved me earlier. Is that truly her? Du Jiaojiao expressed her skepticism. Really? Du Jiaojiao had always been curious about Du's mysterious lifesaver, and never anticipated it was the young girl before her. They say no one is perfect, but Du Jiaojiao was still in disbelief. Such a beautiful young girl, and yet so capable. Unbelievable indeed. Absolutely true, Du affirmed, his expression unreadable. Knowing Du was not one to jest, and he had no reason to joke about this matter, Du Jiaojiao asked curiously, Then why is she here looking for her son? Did you hide her son? I don't even know who her son is, Du replied innocently. Looking towards Ni Yang, Du Jiaojiao remarked, Not to mention this young lady is really beautiful. No wonder you compared her with Change last time. She doesn't look like someone who has had a child. Glancing at Du Jiaojiao, Du retorted, You speak as though you've had one. Du Jiaojiao rolled her eyes at Du. The two casually followed Ni Yang. Ni Yang kept following the leader's son parakeet, walking through the corridor and arriving at the garden's back. Seeing how earnestly Ni Yang was searching, Du Jiaojiao elbowed Du. You didn't really hide her son, did you? Why would I hide her son? Du countered. Du Jiaojiao eyed Du seriously, maybe to become her kid's stepdad. Du's breath hitched again. Don't spout nonsense. Du Jiaojiao's face was alight with teasing. I guessed it, didn't I? You think you can read minds? Du said calmly while twirling his Buddha beads. Du Jiaojiao continued. Getting to marry such a pretty girl, even if it means being someone's stepdad, wouldn't be a loss. This time, Du didn't respond. He knew Jiaojiao too well. If he kept responding, Jiaojiao would never stop teasing. Are you admitting it? Du Jiaojiao nudged Du again. Du remained silent. Du Jiaojiao scoffed lightly. Ni Yang had searched around in the garden and hadn't found Duo. Miss, did you find your son? Du Jiaojiao approached. Need any help? Thank you. Before Ni Yang could finish, a crisp voice filled the air. Yang, Duo. Ni Yang's face lit up. Hearing Ni Yang's response, Duo called out even more joyously. Yang. The sun parakeet spiraling above Ni Yang's head seemed extremely excited, chirping non-stop. Who's talking? Du Jiaojiao scratched her head, looking at Ni Yang. Your son? Yep. Ni Yang nodded, her gaze catching a middle-aged man walking towards them with a birdcage covered by a black cloth. Yang. Ni Yang approached the middle-aged man. Excuse me, sir. May I take a look at what you're holding? The middle-aged man paused, about to ask who Ni Yang was, but Du interjected. Open it for Miss Ni to see. Having lived in this place for so long, Du had never brought any woman other than Du Jiaojiao here. Ni Yang was most likely the first. The middle-aged man promptly lifted the black cloth over the birdcage, and Duo was ecstatic. Yang Yang. Yang Yang. Seeing Duo inside the cage, Yang breathed a sigh of relief. Duo. Du Jiao was stunned. She had never imagined Yang's son would be a bird. She had genuinely thought Yang had a real son. Why was he still locked up? Yang said as she began to open the birdcage. Why was he let out? Before the middle-aged man could speak, Duo flew directly to Yang's shoulder, rubbing his small head against her chin incessantly. Yang Yang. Yang Yang. Yang Yang. Chapter 855. Offended someone who should not be offended. Dog food manufacturer _2. She looked as though she had a belly full of grievances to express. Fine. So it turns out this is someone's bird. What more could he possibly have to say about it? Yin chuckled and said, All right, I know you've been wronged. Just wait, Mommy will avenge you. Is this a call to arms? Master Du's brow twitched, and he tried to keep his tone even as he said, This is your son? Before Yin could answer, Duo spread his wings, looking ferocious as he scolded. You little bastard. This bird was definitely relying on humans now. If it had been before today, Duo would have been as scared of Master Du as a mouse is of a cat. How could he dare to act this way? Master Du. Yin smiled and said, That's just the way he is, don't take it to heart. But tell me, how did you manage to catch him and lock him up? The middle-aged uncle realized that Yan's status was not simple. Having followed Master Du for so long, apart from Jiao, he had never seen any woman dare to speak to Master Du like this. Not even the two mistresses of the household dared to. Miss this has nothing to do with Master Du seeing that the Mina could talk, and knowing Master Du likes to tease birds. I took it upon myself to catch it. Master Du actually wanted to release it, but I said that birds raised in captivity can't survive in the wild. And Master Du was afraid it would starve, so. Yin nodded. I see, but you can rest assured. Our Duo is free-range, and his survival skills are very strong. He won't starve even if he isn't fed for 10 days. Master Du chimed in timely. Your son is named Duo? Well taught. Yin nodded. Come son, let's greet Master Du. You little bastard. Master Du. Yin smiled lightly. Don't be fooled by the fact that Duo is only a bird. He's actually very smart and understands human nature. Master Du. He should curse, he's blind, he acknowledges it. He should have realized earlier that Duo wasn't calling for Yang Yang. Jiao found this amusing. The girl was outright with her insults. When had the illustrious Master Du of the 10-mile foreign district ever been scolded to his face like this? And yet, the person in question could only swallow the slight. Jiao smiled radiantly. Young lady, your son is very handsome. By seniority, he should call me third younger brother. What should he call me? Third younger brother? Yin was taken aback for a moment. Master Du introduced. This is my second sister, Jiao. Miss Du. Yin wasn't pretentious, continuing. My name is Yin. I with a man radical. Yen as in jade becomes warm and produces smoke under the sun. Jiao replied. That's a beautiful name, as beautiful as you are. Thank you, Miss Du. Jiao continued. I've heard from my second brother that you are his savior. If anyone should be thanking, it should be me thanking you. Don't be so formal with me. I'm a few years older than you, just call me sister. Yin smiled lightly. Master Du has already thanked me. Sister Jiao, you are too kind. The girl wasn't affected or coy, and her forthright personality was very appealing to Jiao. Then I'll call you Yang Yang, Jiao said. Yin nodded. Okay. Jiao went on. How do you feed your bird? He's so obedient. My third brother also has many birds, and none of them are as well behaved as Duo. Yin said. Actually, there's no secret. I've always let him roam free, and over time, he's become attuned to human nature. Oh, is that so? Jiao said, naturally linking arms with Yin. By the way, Yang Yang, you don't look very old? 19. Yin replied. Jiao smiled. No wonder your skin is so good, so white. I'm getting old. I feel like an old lady compared to you. Yin said. Having good skin is because of choosing the right skincare products. It has nothing to do with age. Skincare products. Jiao Jiao frowned slightly. I use imported skincare products, and they don't do much. Yang, what brand do you use? And Yin looked up at Jiao Jiao and then said, Sister Jiao Jiao, I suppose you have oily skin? What's oily skin? Jiao Jiao asked. Oily skin means that there is an excessive buildup of sebum on the face, causing the pores to become clogged and prone to pimples and acne. Before Yin could finish her sentence, Jiao Jiao, as if she had found a confidant, eagerly continued. Yes. Yang, you are so right. My skin is prone to acne. Chapter 856. Offended someone who shouldn't have been offended, dog food manufacturer _3. As she finished speaking, Du Jiao Jiao continued. But Yang, how do you know all this? And Yang replied with a smile. Because I love beauty and like to fiddle with things. Sister Jiao Jiao, I suggest you use the Bingji Yufu Hydrating Skincare Set, which not only hydrates but also has whitening and oil control effects. Bingji Yufu? Du Jiao Jiao furrowed her brows slightly. I seem to have heard of this brand. It's made in China, right? And Yang nodded her head. Du Jiao Jiao said with a smile. Can domestic skincare products really compare with imports? At that time, China was still developing, so it was normal for Du Jiao Jiao to look down on domestic products. Although Bingji Yufu was very popular, its sales relied on loyal customers, and it was still hard for new customers to accept it. After all, at that time, all the good stuff was imported from overseas, like refrigerators, washing machines, window air conditioners, and so on. In later years, you could still feel the prestige of imported goods, things like foreign shovels, nails, cement, and grease mentioned by the older generation. Yang's lips curved in a faint smile. You can't be too absolute about everything. Sometimes foreign goods aren't necessarily better than our Chinese products. It's just that people are used to imports and unwilling to try new things. Du Jiao Jiao didn't take Yang's words to heart and casually nodded. You make some sense. I'll definitely try Bingji Yufu when I get a chance. As soon as she finished speaking, Du Jiao Jiao continued. Yang, you're still in school, right? And Yang nodded. Yes, I'm in my senior year now, and the college entrance exam is coming up in July. The 80s were different from later years. In later years, the college entrance exam was in June, but in the 80s, it was in July. 19 and still in senior year? She must have repeated a few years, right? It seems that my younger brother's lifesaver isn't very smart. Du Jiao Jiao gave Yang a thoughtful look but said nothing. While the two of them were chatting, Grandfather Du just stood silently to the side. He marveled inwardly at how amazing Du Jiao Jiao was. She hadn't known Yang for long, yet she had managed to find out so much about her. He had spent an entire night alone with Yang and still didn't know her as well as she did. After chatting for a while, Yang suggested it was time to say goodbye. Du Jiao Jiao, arm in arm with Yang, said, Yang, don't be in such a rush to leave. It's almost time for lunch. You should eat with us before you go. Yang replied with a smile. Sister Jiao Jiao, you're being too polite. When I went out to look for Duo earlier, my mom specifically instructed me to hurry back once I found Duo. If I don't return soon, she might really think Duo is lost. Upon hearing this, Du Jiao Jiao no longer insisted on keeping Yang, and added, We've just arrived in Beijing and don't have any friends here. Yang, if you have time, come and keep me company for a chat. Sure, Yang nodded. I'll head back first then. Grandfather Du walked Yang to the door. Duo, say goodbye to Mr. Du, little bastard. Duo was still fuming. Duo, Yang patted its head. Don't be so impolite. Grandfather Du, however, was calm, a smile playing on his lips. Why bother with it? Besides, this was all my fault, to begin with. I should be the one apologizing to it. Yang said, smiling. You shouldn't say that. This little guy is always pushing its luck. I'll be going now. Grandfather Du nodded slightly. Be careful on your way. Just as Yang turned to leave, Grandfather Du called out, Wait a moment. What is it? Yang looked back. Grandfather Du twirled his Buddha beads. My name is Du Chengfeng. Yang was taken aback at first, and then asked, Chungfeng, as in I desire to ride the wind to return? Yes, Grandfather Du nodded. Nice name, Yang said. Grandfather Du, holding the Buddha beads, paused for a moment. Thank you. When Yang's figure disappeared under the shade of the parasol trees, Grandfather Du also turned and went inside. As soon as he entered, Du Jiaojiao approached. That Yang is very pretty. Yeah, Grandfather Du replied to her. Du Jiaojiao continued. Did she just call you Mr. Du? Yeah. Doesn't she know you're the Grandfather Du of the 10-mile foreign trade area? Du Jiaojiao asked back. She knows. Grandfather Du lifted the lid of the incense burner and lit a piece of sandalwood. Du Jiaojiao narrowed her eyes. Knowing that and still calling you Mr. Du. Is she playing hard to get? It was no wonder Du Jiaojiao would overthink. She had met too many people who thought they were very clever. Chapter 857. Offended someone who shouldn't have been offended, dog food manufacturer _4. Who would not respectfully address him as Mr. Du. There really were hardly any who dared to call him Sir Du. He's not that kind of person, Mr. Du firmly negated. TSKS. Du Jiaojiao watched Mr. Du with a mischievous smile. So quick to defend her? Mr. Du did not explain further, merely saying, Ever heard of how appearance reflects the heart? Determining that Zheng Xianjing would be that kind of person was more fitting. And Yang? She would disdain engaging in such matters. Du Jiaojiao nodded. That's true too, Yang is so beautiful. If she were interested in you, she wouldn't need to play hard to get. She just has to nod, and you'd have a new concubine in your backyard. You're overthinking it, Mr. Du said indifferently. Du Jiaojiao agreed. Indeed, I am overthinking. Like in Yang, you can tell she is not one to be confined to the boudoir. How could she possibly content herself with being one of many concubines, competing and becoming jealous of other women? Mr. Du silently twirled his Buddha beads. Sister, you're getting further off topic. Yang is so beautiful, and you're not at all moved by her? Du Jiaojiao retorted. Mr. Du's expression remained stoic. Only a dead man's heart stays still. Do I look like a dead man to you? Du Jiaojiao, lost for words, said, Ugh. I'm not talking about that kind of being moved. I meant the kind where you like her. You seem so smart usually. How come you turn silly at crucial moments? Forget it. Speaking to someone heartless like you wouldn't understand even if I explained. Mr. Du sat cross-legged on a low stool and began preparing tea. He was particularly meticulous about brewing tea, which in later eras would be referred to as tea ceremony. Du Jiaojiao disliked these overly elaborate habits. So much effort in brewing tea for just a few sips. Elegant but impractical. Seeing Mr. Du make tea, she muttered boring, and turned to leave the living room. After Du Jiaojiao left the living room, Mr. Du summoned the butler. Mr. Du continued his tea-making motion, his hands weaving through the teacups as the tea smoke spiraled upwards, casting his facial features into a more majestic and enigmatic silhouette. Who was on duty at the gate today? The butler, taken aback by the sudden question, asked, Xiaozhao and Xiaolin. Mr. Du nodded. Tell them they needn't come tomorrow. Why? The butler was puzzled. Had Xiaozhao and Xiaolin offended Mr. Du? Mr. Du asked. Do you know how high the backyard wall is? 4 meters. Before the butler could finish, they seemed to realize something suddenly and immediately said, All right, I understand. I'll notify them right now. Go ahead. Mr. Du gestured with his hand. The butler approached the gate. The grand gate of Deming Pavilion had an imposing appearance. Even the gatekeepers found it dignified. When the butler told them they needn't come tomorrow, Xiaozhao and Xiaowu were startled. Butler, what did we do wrong that you're firing us? The butler patted Xiaozao's shoulder. It's because you offended someone you shouldn't have. What? Xiaozhao blurted in dialect. Who did we offend? The butler continued. The young girl Mr. Du personally saw off just earlier. After saying this, the butler sighed and then added, You should feel lucky that you didn't fracture the young lattice leg today, or you'd really be in a mess. A fall from a 4-meter high wall could potentially lead to fatal accidents. Xiao Zhao and Xiaolin felt wronged. How could they have known that girl had such significant backing? Seeing their thoughts, the butler said, all right, don't feel too wronged. Hey, raise 3 months of your salary as compensation. You don't have to come tomorrow, start looking for a new job. Finding a new job was easy, but finding one with a salary as high as before was difficult. The two accepted the money from the butler with frowns on their faces. Yang brought Duo back to the Zheng family. Little Yin was overjoyed, incessantly asking Duo, where were you last night? I missed you so much. After returning, Yang relayed what happened with Wu Yinyan to Cuihua. Upon hearing this, Cuihua's face changed. Is Yinyan really the second girl? The few abandoned children hadn't been given names yet, so Cuihua simply called them second girl, third girl, fourth girl, and little Yin ranked fifth. Chapter 858. Offended someone who shouldn't have been offended, dog food manufacturer _5. Yang nodded. It's very likely. I've already sent the sample for testing. 3 months later, we'll know the results, and the truth will be revealed. Firstly, Wu Yanyan's age matches with my second sister, and then she doesn't resemble the Wu couple. And the location also matches since they too are from Haicheng. Cuihua wiped her tears. No wonder I felt the child looked familiar, so she is indeed Erniu. Yang continued. Mom, it's just a suspicion for now, nothing certain. Let's wait for the test results, and don't get your hopes too high. The higher the hopes, the greater the disappointment. If it turns out to be a misunderstanding, Cuihua would be devastated. Yang needed to prepare precautionary measures. Upon hearing this, Cuihua calmed down a bit and then asked, where are they living now? I want to go see them. Yang replied, they live in building 78, Guiqing Garden, but I think you shouldn't disturb them for now. Let's wait until after the test results are out. Can I just take a quick peek without them noticing? Cuihua asked. Yang hesitated. How about this? Uncle Wu's construction company will be launching soon. You can visit then. By that time, I will have recognized them as my godparents. Okay. Cuihua nodded. Time swiftly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 7 days had gone by. During this time, Yang was studying the 13 ghost points technique while also helping Wu Jinshu lease a storefront. Wu Jinshu was busy decorating the storefront. One morning, Dr. Jiang came with his medical kit to check on grandmother Zheng's health. After the examination, Dr. Jiang smiled and said, Qing, I think you won't need me anymore. Ah, why? Grandmother Zheng asked. Dr. Jiang replied, because you have fully recovered. It's really miraculous. Ever since your granddaughter's returned, your health has improved daily. She truly is the lucky star of your family. Grandmother Zheng smiled. I think you are absolutely right, Xiaoyan. Ever since I met them, I feel no illness at all. Dr. Jiang looked around. Seeing no one was nearby, he lowered his voice. How are Tingting and Lingling getting along? Any discord? None, Grandmother Zheng replied. They get along just like biological sisters, and even the children interact well together. This was something Grandmother Zheng was very pleased about. In ordinary families, such harmony might not be possible. Although last time, Zheng Xianjing was suspected of impersonating Mr. Dust's lifesaver, she had sincerely apologized, and that issue was now resolved. Dr. Jiang nodded. That's good. Tingting and Lingling are blood-related cousins, and their getting along so well is within my expectations. After speaking, Dr. Jiang continued. Qing, you now essentially have 2 daughters. Have you thought about how you will divide the inheritance? Grandmother Zheng smiled. I've always been fair and won't favor one over the other. Although Lingling is not my biological child, she is no different from my own. I've said it before, when the time comes it will be half for each child. Upon hearing this, Zheng Lingling, who was about to approach, stopped in her tracks. Half for each. This damn old woman really had the nerve to say it. If she had said a 20-80 split, Zheng Lingling would have accepted without a word. But now it was a 50-50 split. She had spent nearly half her life taking care of these 2 people. And Cuihua had only returned a few days ago. What right did Enai Tsuehua have to share the Zheng family's wealth equally with her? Even suggesting a 20-80 split was her being generous. In her opinion, the Zheng family's wealth should not go to Enai Tsuehua at all. Dr. Jiang replied, "That's certainly a fair approach, but will your Tingting agree? After all, you are her biological mother. Would she be willing to share equally with Lingling?" Grandmother Zheng smiled. "Don't worry about that. Tingting is a good child. She doesn't care about the part she gets." Dr. Jiang responded, "That's good." Zheng Lingling's features contorted. "Enai Tsuehua is a good child?" Was this damn old woman implying that she was not? No. She couldn't wait any longer. Zheng Lingling clutched the tray in her hands, her knuckles turning slightly white from the force. When Dr. Jiang left the Zheng family's house, Zheng Lingling chased after him. "Aunt Jiang, wait a moment." "What is it?" Dr. Jiang turned around. Zheng Lingling said, "Dr. Jiang, I've been having severe headaches lately. Do you have any painkillers?" Chapter 859. Offended someone who shouldn't have been offended. Dog food manufacturer _6. "Does it hurt in waves?" Dr. Jiang asked. "Yeah." Zheng Lingling nodded. "Then let's walk and talk," Dr. Jiang said. "Okay." Zheng Lingling followed Dr. Jiang's steps. "Lingling, your mom is almost fully recovered now. I probably won't be visiting your house much anymore," Dr. Jiang said. "That soon?" Zheng Lingling frowned slightly. Dr. Jiang nodded. "It's a good thing that your mom is getting better." Zheng Lingling then said, "Please give me the painkillers quickly." Dr. Jiang searched through her box and found a box of medicine. "Remember, 2 pills at a time." "Okay." Dr. Jiang continued. "Today your mom said she would leave you half of her estate. What do you think?" The mention of this made Zheng Lingling angry. All these years, I have been the one by her side. But when it comes to dividing the property, she sure doesn't forget her biological daughter. Dr. Jiang frowned. "If she has promised to leave you half, it makes sense. After all, blood is thicker than water, and bones may break but the sinews still hold. I'm afraid." "Auntie Jiang, what do you mean?" Dr. Jiang went on. "I've been sisters with your mom my entire life. There were no secrets between us. But ever since Tingting returned, she hasn't been as open with me as before." Zheng Lingling asked impatiently, "Auntie Jiang, what do you mean by that?" Dr. Jiang said, "Like the paternity test, and the fact that Enai Yang knows medical skills." She paused, then continued. "But Lingling, don't worry too much. Enai Yang is a doctor, sure, but she practices traditional Chinese medicine. It has nothing to do with mental health." Zheng Lingling nodded. She wasn't worried about Enai Yang. Just a teenager, how skilled in medicine could she be? Dr. Jiang continued. "I suspect your mom is deceiving me. She doesn't really want to divide half of the property with you. After all, you're not her biological child. She wants to leave all the wealth to her biological daughter, which is natural human sentiment." Zheng Lingling bit her lip. "What should I do then?" Everything in the Zheng family was hers. She was not willing to be so easily robbed. Dr. Jiang took out another box of headache pills from her medical kit. "Some things are better dealt with sooner rather than later. Don't underestimate a headache as a small issue. If it drags on for long, it can turn into a big problem. Life is unpredictable. Who knows what might happen tomorrow?" Zheng Lingling took the box and nodded solemnly. "Got it, Auntie Jiang. I understand." Today was the grand opening of Wu Jinshi's construction company. The name of the construction company was chosen by Enai Yang. Zhonghua Construction Company Limited. As the sole investor, Enai Yang, of course, couldn't miss the opening day. At 8 in the morning, Enai Yang and Enai Tsuehua arrived at the company on time. The more Enai Tsuehua looked at Wu Yanyan, the more she felt Wu Yanyan was her second daughter. Her eyes began to moisten. How hard it must been for her to grow up so big, being thrown away so young. Poor child, she hadn't even had the chance to drink milk since she was little. Wu Yanyan noticed Enai Tsuehua kept looking at her, and feeling somewhat embarrassed, said, "Auntie, do you have something you want to tell me?" Nothing. Enai Tsuehua immediately came back to her senses. "I was just deep in thought." The opening ceremony was simple. They set off firecrackers and cut a ribbon. There was only a month left for exams, so after cutting the ribbon, Na-young didn't idle either, rushing to school nonstop. She had 2 exams that day. By the time she left school, it was already after 5 in the afternoon. Na-young slowly walked on the road, her shadow elongated by the setting sun. Just at that moment, screech! Suddenly, a sound of tires abruptly halting filled the air. And by the time Na-young looked up, a black sedan was already calmly stopped in front of her. Whose car is this, so thoughtless? Na-young was just about to kick it when the car door swung open, and a tall and upright figure emerged, with the dying light of the sunset shrouding his features, making them somewhat indistinct. Na-young was momentarily stunned before she could react. And by then she was already seized by an imperious force. Yang. He buried his head in her neck and deeply inhaled the lingering scent of her hair. Brother Mo. Na-young wrapped her arms around him. Thinking about it, it had been almost half a year since she last saw Mo-chishin. Ouch! After hugging for a bit, Na-young pushed him away with her hands, expressing her disdain. Brother Mo, how long has it been since you shaved? Did it hurt you? Mo-chishin looked worried. Only then did Na-young notice the blue stubble on his chin, adding a bit more manliness to his appearance. Na-young couldn't help but reach out and touch it, finding the sensation novel, like a tingling electric shock. Tsk, how busy have you been? How does it feel? Mo-chishin gripped her hand. Not great, it's prickly, Na-young said with a face full of disdain. Let's get in the car and talk. Mo-chishin guided her to the back seat. Wu Daming took the initiative to greet her, sister-in-law number 6. Seeing Wu Daming, who was shiny black, Na-young laughed. Wu Daming, have you been on a vacation to F continent? Wu Daming turned around in surprise. Sister-in-law, how did you figure it out? But I didn't go to F continent for a vacation. It's your teeth, Na-young replied. Ah. Wu Daming was somewhat confused. Na-young continued. I suggest that if you go out at night, remember to smile more. Why? Wu Daming touched the back of his head. Na-young smiled and said, use your teeth to blind them, otherwise it's too dark and no one can see you. Wu Daming. Not only had he darkened, but why did everyone have to laugh at him too? A few minutes later, Wu Daming realized that being laughed at by Na-young wasn't the worst. Being force-fed dog food, that was the worst. He was still a kid. Why did he have to endure such an assault of love? Those 2 people in the back seat were really too much. After about 15 minutes, the car stopped in front of a villa. Once out of the car, Na-young said in surprise, why are we here? Weren't we going to my place? Mo-chishin said, with my disheveled appearance, it's not suitable for me to go to your house. What if our mom disapproves and won't let you marry me? Na-young raised her eyebrows slightly. I'm not planning to marry you right now anyway. Fine, then I'll marry you. Mo-chishin shamelessly wrapped his arm around Na-young's waist. Yang, you've lost weight. Have I? You really have, I can feel it. Mo-chishin said as he tightened his hold. As they talked, the 2 of them had already entered the villa. No sooner had the door closed than Mo-chishin pinned her against it with a reversed hand, and then leaned down for a kiss. The blue stubble prickled against her fair skin, a bit painful. Yet Mo-chishin couldn't bring himself to let go so soon after such a long time apart. After a while, Na-young pushed him away. Go shave now. Chapter 860. Can you get first place like this? Mo-chishin went to the bathroom to take a shower and shave. Na-young, having nothing better to do, sat on the couch to watch TV. At this time, there weren't many channels available on TV, but the programs being broadcast were future classics. Playing on TV right now was the 1985 version of Ji Gong, although there were only 8 episodes of it currently. Na-young hadn't really watched Ji Gong before, but she found it quite interesting now. By the time Mo-chishin emerged from the washroom, half an hour had passed. Let's go, Na-young said, reaching to turn off the TV when she saw Mo-chishin come out. While fastening the buttons on his shirt, Mo-chishin asked, is Mom still staying at Grandma's place? Yep. Na-young reached out to pinch Mo-chishin's face, saying Mom and Grandma so smoothly. Big brother Mo, I've found your skin is getting thicker and thicker. Mo-chishin grinned cheekily. My skin is so thick, did it hurt your hand? What do you think? In-Young raised her eyebrows slightly. I guess it must have hurt. Let me rub it for you. Emo-chishin took In-Yang's hand. Big brother Emo, I beg you to be a bit more human. The two chatted as they walked away. Wu Daming had already returned home, and In-Young took the keys from Emo-chishin. I'll drive. Emo-chishin was a little surprised. You know how to drive? He hadn't known that In-Young could drive, even after knowing her for so long. Of course, In-Young said with a touch of haughty pride. Is there anything your brother Young can't do? At first, Emo-chishin thought In-Young was just boasting until she successfully started the car. Only then did he realize that In-Young wasn't joking. This In-Young, she may seem aloof and reticent ordinarily, but only Emo-chishin knew she had a playful side hidden in her bones. And she liked to brag a bit. Buckle up, In-Young said, her hand on the steering wheel, glancing sideways at Emo-chishin. The light from the street lamps cast the shadow of her eyelashes across her nose bridge in a strangely cool pose. Emo-chishin swallowed unconsciously. Oh. After Emo-chishin buckled up, he realized that In-Young could not only drive, but she drove with incredible skill. It made Emo-chishin almost think In-Young could take the car to the sky. With turns, consecutive turns, sharp turns, she never slowed down, yet the ride was as smooth as if on flat ground. What should have been a 30-minute drive took less than 5 minutes to arrive at the Zheng family's front gate. In-Young stopped the car and switched off the ignition, whistled cheerfully at Emo-chishin. How about that, am I brother Young awesome or what? Emo-chishin nodded slightly. Awesome, truly awesome. Brother Young is too cool, truly worthy of being my wife. Such nerve. Emo-chishin got out of the car right behind her, taking the gifts brought back from F country from the back of the car, and they walked towards the villa together. Zheng Xianjing had the day off from school and had come home early. Just as she came down the stairs, she saw a figure coming through the door. Against the light, she couldn't quite make out his features, yet a powerful aura surrounded him, instilling a sense of inferiority in those who saw him. Who could this be? Although she couldn't quite see his face clearly, Zheng Xianjing could sense that this was no ordinary person. Perhaps it was Mr. Mog. The Emo and Zheng families were extremely close, so it was unsurprising for Baichuan to visit the Zheng family. Zheng Xianjing narrowed her eyes and subconsciously brushed her hair behind her ears, straightened her back and walked downstairs. The features of his face gradually became visible in the darkness. Thin, sharp lips like paper cuts, narrow and long phoenix eyes brimming with a cold gleam, and features as flawlessly carved as fine artistry, especially those deep and heavy eyes, bottomless as if they were vast stars. She recognized who it was. The next second, all traces of a smile vanished from Zheng Xianjing's face. It was Emo-chishin. How could such a fine appearance be wasted on a ne'er-do-well like Emo-chishin? Regret and disgust flickered across Zheng Xianjing's eyes as she snorted and walked past him with her nose in the air. For a good-for-nothing like Emo-chishin, even the right to hold her shoes was unattainable. Emo-chishin's face remained expressionless as he continued walking in. Xiaoma. And Tsuehua was surprised to see Emo-chishin. When did you get back? Emo-chishin replied. Auntie, I just got back home this afternoon. Laughing, Tsuehua said. Come on in, and by the way, where's Yang Yang? Did you see her? Emo-chishin answered. Yang Yang was supposed to come in with me, but she felt a bit unwell the moment we were entering the door, so she went to the washroom. Chapter 861. Can you get first place like this? Under 2. Emo-chishin handed the items in his hand to Tsuehua. These are the gifts I brought from F country for Grandpa Zheng, Grandma Zheng, and you and Uncle. Tsuehua smiled and said, You child, coming here is enough, why bring gifts? Grandpa Zheng and Grandma Zheng also liked Emo-chishin very much. Although Emo-chishin's reputation wasn't good, he was truly good to In-Young, and based on their understanding of him over time, Emo-chishin wasn't as difficult as the rumors suggested. As long as In-Young had no objections, neither did they as the elders. Soon after, In-Young walked in from outside. That evening, after Emo-chishin had some drinks, In-Young drove him home. This time she didn't speed but drove leisurely. The car didn't have the air conditioning on, all the windows were down, and a gentle breeze flowed in, making it pleasantly refreshing. While driving, Young started discussing Wu Yinyan with Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan said, "If she really is your second sister, then your third and fourth sisters must still be around too." Young nodded, hopefully. "By the way, tomorrow is Sunday. I just recognized Yanyan's parents as my godparents, so how about I take you to visit them tomorrow?" "Sure." Despite the slow speed of the car, it didn't take long to arrive at the Mo family's house. Since they were already there, Young went in with Mo Qishan, planning to greet Mr. and Mrs. Mo. Seeing Young, Mr. and Mrs. Mo were very happy. Yang is here. Come in, come in. We just got a few kilograms of green husk lychees this afternoon from Officer Wu. And I saved half for you, planning to send them over in a couple of days." Young loved lychees, and hearing they were green husk lychees excited her even more. "Are they guelu from Xingqing?" Yes, the guelu from Xingqing. They're very sweet and even seedless. Green husk lychees were the most expensive among lychee varieties. Young remembered once, in her previous life, a single green husk lychee was auctioned for a record high price of 550,000. After many years, tasting green husk lychees again transported Young momentarily back to the future. Mo Qishan peeled the lychees and placed them on a plate, one after another, quickly filling up a large plate. Young hurriedly said, Okay, big brother Mo, I can't eat that much after dinner." "Do you not want to eat pomegranate?" Mo Qishan picked up a pomegranate. Young shook her head. "No." Mo Qishan smiled and asked, "Is there any fruit you don't eat?" Young responded, "Pomegranates require spitting out seeds. It's too much hassle. Lychees are more convenient." Mo Qishan smiled, took a pomegranate, and slowly started peeling it. His handsome hands clearly defined against the bright red pomegranate, making them particularly striking. Hearing the noise downstairs, Xiao Yingying immediately ran down. She had been staying at the Mo family's house for the past few days, hoping to meet Mr. Mog, so she always rushed over whenever there were visitors at the Mo family's house to see if it was Mr. Mog. Seeing Mo Qishan, Xiao Yingying's face couldn't hide her disappointment. Xiao Yingying, like an eggplant hit by frost, didn't even want to greet Mo Qishan and listlessly walked back upstairs. Mr. and Mrs. Mo didn't like Xiao Yingying much either, because the girl lacked manners, barely greeting them and always acting as if someone owed her millions. If she wasn't Mo Baichuan's cousin, they would have kicked her out long ago. Just then, noises sounded from outside. Mrs. Mo stood up and said, "It must be Baichuan coming back. I'll go have a look." Sure enough, it was Mo Baichuan. Mo Baichuan had been staying at the base, and he hadn't expected to see Mo Qishan and Young upon his return. "Your Uncle Six came back today, and Yang is here too. Go greet them." "Okay." Mo Baichuan took off his white gloves and walked into the living room. "Uncle Six." Mo Qishan nodded slightly. "My nephew is back. Didn't you see your Aunt Six?" Young greeted. "Nephew, would you like some lychees?" What was this back and forth exchange about? Mo Baichuan frowned. "I don't eat them." "Oh." Young didn't say anything more and continued eating lychees, just being polite. Mo Baichuan then asked, "When did Uncle Six get home?" Chapter 862. Can you get first place like this? _3. I just returned this afternoon, Mo Qishan said. Mo Baichuan glanced at Mo Qishan, then continued, "Has Uncle Six been very busy outside lately?" Asking a universally acknowledged useless man if he has been busy is practically the same as mockery. In fact, Mo Baichuan couldn't be bothered to mock this worthless Uncle Six. He wanted to see how Young would react. How could Young not be tired after acting with Mo Qishan for so long? Mo Qishan's thin lips curled slightly, his hands still peeling a pomegranate. So, what has Uncle Six been busy with outside? Mo Baichuan promptly asked. Trade secrets. Upon hearing this, the mockery in Mo Baichuan's eyes deepened. Trade secrets? Such words might pass if they came from someone else's mouth, but coming from Mo Qishan, they were truly bizarre. No wonder Mo Qishan's reputation outside was so poor. Since it's a trade secret, then I won't pry. As he spoke, Mo Baichuan's gaze swept past Enai Yang. Enai Yang was just like before, her attention entirely on the plate of gleaming, jade-white lychees as if she hadn't spared him a glance from start to finish. Had she really not looked at him? Mo Baichuan narrowed his eyes, then turned to look at grandfather Mo and grandmother Mo before continuing. Grandpa, Grandma, I plan to get engaged to Jingrong soon. As grandfather Mo was drinking tea, he sprayed out all the tea in his mouth upon hearing this. What did you say? Grandmother Mo was also startled. Baichuan, marriage is no trivial matter. You can't just do whatever comes to your mind. Mo Baichuan was also at the age suitable for marriage and having children. Under normal circumstances, hearing such news, the two elders would certainly be very happy. But now they couldn't be less happy. After all, Mo Baichuan's intended fiancé was Zhao Jingrong. The outside world knew that Zhao Jingrong was once Mo Kishan's fiancé. If Mo Baichuan really got engaged to Zhao Jingrong, what would the outside world think of the Mo family? Mo Baichuan then said, Jingrong and I have been together for such a long time. I know she is a very good girl, so I want to settle the matter sooner rather than later. Claiming the engagement was a spur-of-the-moment decision. He wanted to provoke Enai Yang. Upon hearing he was to get engaged to Zhao Jingrong, Enai Yang definitely couldn't hold back. Grandfather Mo wiped his mouth with a tissue. Baichuan, calm down. Zhao Jingrong is not a good match. Mo Baichuan looked up at grandfather Mo. Grandpa, Jingrong is my girlfriend. I know better than you whether she is a good match or not. In the time Mo Baichuan had spent with Zhao Jingrong, she was gentle, considerate, kind, a very qualified girlfriend. Grandfather Mo sighed. Grandmother Mo hesitated, then spoke. Baichuan, Zhao Jingrong, she used to. Are you trying to say that Jingrong was once Uncle Six's fiancé? Mo Baichuan said. Yes, grandmother Mo nodded. You know that's good. All these circumstances, I need not say more, you should be very clear, right? Grandmother Mo truly looked down upon Zhao Jingrong. Mo Baichuan's eyebrows furrowed slightly as he continued. The reason Jingrong broke off the engagement with Uncle Six is that Uncle Six had no ability to keep her. Moreover, she and Uncle Six were initially betrothed as children, and it's been so many years since such practices were abolished. Child engagements are already null and void, and Jingrong has the right to choose her happiness. You and Grandpa can't dismiss her as a good girl just because she broke off the engagement with Uncle Six. Grandmother Mo wanted to say something more, but grandfather Mo raised his hand. All right, you want to get engaged to her, right? Then get engaged. We won't interfere with this matter, but let me say something beforehand. Please speak, Mo Baichuan said. Grandfather Mo continued. Since you have decided to get married, don't think about getting divorced later. Our Mo family can't afford to lose face like that. You can count on me, Mo Baichuan said, full of conviction. Grandfather Mo's expression was a bit gloomy, but in front of Enai Yang, who had been Mo Kishan's fiancé, it wasn't good to blast her openly. What if it scared the future daughter-in-law? Enai Yang didn't want to get involved in Mo Baichuan's business, and moreover, Mo Baichuan was too conceited. If she stayed any longer, he would likely get the wrong idea again, so she proposed to leave. Besides, she wasn't suited for staying in such a situation. I'll take you, Mo Qishan said, packing the peeled pomegranate into a bag. Leaving? Mo Baichuan looked up at Enai Yang. Was Enai Yang feeling jealous, so she decided to leave? Chapter 863. Can you get first place like this? _4. So, was Enai Yang's next step to figure out a way to sabotage his engagement with Zhao Jingrong? Watching Enai Yang's retreating figure only made Mo Baichuan more determined to get engaged to Zhao Jingrong. Although he had not discussed the engagement with Zhao Jingrong, he knew she would definitely not object. After all, Zhao Jingrong was so infatuated with him. Zhao Jingrong and Enai Yang were the same kind of person, yet they were also different. At least Zhao Jingrong dared to admit her feelings, while Enai Yang refused to openly acknowledge hers, only resorting to underhanded tactics behind the scenes. But for some reason he still found his gaze involuntarily drawn to Enai Yang. Sometimes, Mo Baichuan felt like he was being unfair to Zhao Jingrong. Because he had always been using Zhao Jingrong, he wanted to use Zhao Jingrong to expose Enai Yang. Emochishan walked Yang to the door. Yang, let me drive you back. I'm not comfortable with you going alone. Yang laughed. Brother Emo, I brought you here, then you drive me back, and then I bring you here again. Back and forth like this. Do we even need to sleep tonight? Emochishan handed the bag he was carrying to Yang. Then take this. What's this? Yang was curious. It's pomegranate. I've peeled it for you, Emochishan said. Yang declined. I don't want it. Even though you've peeled the skin, there are still seeds inside, too lazy to eat. Yang really liked to eat fruit, but she was particularly lazy. Fruits with lots of seeds like watermelon and pomegranate she didn't want to bother with. Spitting out seeds was too much trouble. Emochishan laughed. I've removed the seeds inside as well. Yang was surprised. Really? Really? Yang fished out a pomegranate seed from the bag and tried it. Oh my gosh. Brother Emo, you're amazing. How did you peel it like this? She never knew that pomegranate could be seedless. Emochishan humbly replied. Actually, I didn't know how before either. It was all thanks to the boss' good training. On finishing, he continued. Boss, I've done such a great job. Don't you want to reward me? And maybe give me a kiss as well? How about I give you a slap as a bonus? Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. Emochishan. The next day, Yang took Emochishan to the Wu family. Emochishan was very adept at handling situations. Knowing the Wu family had many children, he specifically bought a lot of White Rabbit creamy candies and teddy bear biscuits, as well as several cans of milk powder. Godfather and godmother, this is my boyfriend Emochishan. Yang took the initiative to introduce Emochishan to Wu Jinshu and Yan Erju. Wu Jinshu and Yan Erju were both stunned. They didn't expect Yang to have a boyfriend already. Emochishan reined in his sharp aura and politely said, Godfather and godmother, you can just call me Xiaoma. Xiaoma, come take a seat. The house is a bit chaotic with so many kids around. Don't mind the mess. Yan Erju was the first to recover. After a while of playing, Wu Yinyun came back with her 2 brothers. Seeing Emochishan, Wu Yinyun froze, with only 4 words in her mind. Astonishingly beautiful. Throughout her life, she had never seen anyone as good-looking as Emochishan. He was like a noble prince who had stepped out of royalty. Elegant and profound. Unapproachable. Yang said, Brother Emo, this is Yinyun, and these are her 2 brothers, Dalong and Erlong. Yinyun, this is my boyfriend, Emochishan. Hearing Yang's introduction, Wu Yinyun quickly snapped back to reality. Nice to meet you, brother-in-law. No wonder he was so handsome. He was Yang's boyfriend. In Wu Yinyun's mind, only someone like Emochishan deserved Yang. Emochishan nodded slightly. Hello. Wu Dalong and Wu Erlong followed suit with their greetings. Emochishan had brought them lots of tasty treats, and the 2 little guys really liked their new brother-in-law. After having lunch at the Wus, Yang and Emochishan left. In the car, Yang asked, So what do you think, does she look like my sister? Emochishan nodded. A bit similar, but not as beautiful as you. Yang had the classic peach blossom eyes, while Wu Yinyun had round apricot-shaped eyes. Both had very fair skin, and their temperaments were somewhat alike, but lacking that naturally effortless charm. You're just smooth talking. You won't know if I'm sweet until you taste it. Emochishan didn't give Yang a chance to reject him and leaned in for a kiss. Actually, Yang had noticed, Emochishan really liked to kiss her, and his hands were always wandering. Chapter 864. Can you get first place like this? _5. But Yang wasn't put off. After all, Emochishan was a very normal man. A little physical playfulness was only natural for a boyfriend and girlfriend, otherwise, it would be strange. Although Emochishan was often playfully physical, he was always very polite and never crossed the line. After a while, Emochishan continued. Where do you want to go this afternoon? I'm going nowhere in particular, what about you? Yang glanced sideways at him. Since you've got nowhere to go, then come with me to a place, Emochishan said. Sure. Yang replied curiously. Where are you taking me? Emochishan's thin lips slightly curled. To sell you. Yang raised an eyebrow indifferently. How much do you plan to sell me for? 2 cents. Emochishin glanced at Yang. Can't add any more. I think you just need some training. Yang stretched out her hand to pinch his face. His face turned red from her pinch. Yet Emochishin didn't even frown. Instead, he smiled and said, Go harder, it doesn't hurt at all. Yang. After a while, Emochishin went on. I want to take you to a brother's place. Brother? Your older brother? Yang asked. Emochishin shook his head. Not a blood brother, but he has done me a great favor, closer than a real brother, lived in Shanghai for many years, and only recently came to Beijing. Remember to save me some face in front of others later. Don't worry, Yang nodded. Before long, their car arrived at the destination. Yang was amused. Isn't this where Brother Du lives? Big brother Emo, does your brother live here? Yang asked. Aha, Emochishin nodded. Is his name Du Chengfeng? Yang queried. Emochishin expressed surprise. How did you know? Yang said with a smile. What a coincidence, I know him too. Yang briefly told Emochishin about how she knew Du Chengfeng. Hearing this, Emochishin said with a smile. Brother Du will surely be surprised to see you. Yang nodded. I guess so. The two arrived at Demingxian. The butler here recognized Emochishin. And seeing Yang with Emochishin, the butler was somewhat surprised. Isn't she the one Brother Du fancied? And now she's with Emochishin? When they arrived, Brother Du was sitting in the Buddha hall reciting scriptures and striking a wooden fish. Yang mused to herself that this man really lives like a monk. Brother Du. Emochishin walked inside. Hearing the voice of an old friend, Brother Du immediately stood up. Peiji. Peiji? Yang frowned slightly, unaware that Emochishin had this name. Emochishin went over and hugged Brother Du. It was then that Brother Du saw Yang following behind into the room, his gaze shifting. Brother Du, you still look the same. Brother Du twirled his Buddha beads. You haven't changed either. Emochishin then said, Oh, Brother Du, let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend Yang. I hear you two know each other. Girlfriend? Brother Du's expression remained unchanged. I didn't expect Yang to be your girlfriend. He had wondered before what kind of boyfriend a woman like Yang would choose. But he never thought her boyfriend would turn out to be his close friend. He even thought, given Emochishin's nature, he might never marry. Suddenly he had a girlfriend. With that said, Brother Du teased. You're quite the lucky man. Emochishin smiled. Yang, come over and greet him. Brother Du. Yang approached. Since Emochishin called Brother Du that way, it was obviously not proper for her to call him Du Chengfeng, or Mr. Du anymore. Little did she expect that her impromptu rescue last time had saved someone from her own circle. The Buddha hall is not a suitable place for conversation. Let's move over there. Brother Du gestured invitingly. All right, Emochishin, holding Yang's hand, followed Brother Du's lead. The three made their way to the tea room, where Brother Du poured tea for them. The tea room was elegantly decorated, filled with antiques and furniture all crafted from precious agarwood. The air was perfumed with not just the scent of sandalwood, but also with a subtle fragrance of agarwood. It was a style Yang liked. The first day I came to Beijing, I faced danger. Fortunately, I encountered Yang. If it weren't for her, I would have been dismembered by now. This cup of tea, I toast to you and Yang. Brother Du raised his teacup. Brother Du, you're too polite, we're all family here, Emochishin said. Brother Du continued. Peiji, when did you get back? I just came back yesterday, Emochishin replied. Brother Du set his cup down. I see you two seem ready for good news, planning to get married soon? Chapter 865. Can you get first place like this? _6. Everything depends on Yang. Emochishin sipped his tea. Du Jiaojiao understood Emochishin very well. Hearing this, he knew Emochishin had completely fallen for her. The kind that couldn't be pulled back. Yang smiled and said, I haven't even taken the college entrance exam yet. Let's talk about everything after it's over. At her words, a quick flash of light passed through Emochishin's deep eyes. You have your exams in a month. Yang continued. And that's also pending your own evaluation. Mo Chishan didn't care that Du Jiaojiao was still there, and blurted out, "Chief, I haven't passed the evaluation yet? That depends on my mood." Mo Chishan, "Then when will you be in a good mood?" Du Jiaojiao, twirling his Buddha beads, spoke in a faint tone. "Peiji, Yang is still young. Don't press her too hard. And don't bully her." Yang nodded. "Brother Du is right." Mo Chishan said with a sense of grievance, "Brother Du, you think too much. How dare I bully her? It's always been her bullying me." Du Jiaojiao nodded slightly. I see that." After chatting for a while, Mo Chishan continued, "After Yang Yang's college entrance exams, I might need to go out for a bit. While I'm away, I'll trouble Brother Du to take extra care of Yang Yang." Mo Chishan and Du Jiaojiao were comrades in arms. He was very clear about the kind of person Du Jiaojiao was, and he also trusted him completely. Du Jiaojiao was influential. As long as he agreed, he would surely protect Yang. Of course, Du Jiaojiao nodded. On the way back, Yang asked Mo Chishan, "Are you really that comfortable leaving me with another man?" Mo Chishan smiled and said, "I've known Brother Du for almost 10 years. I understand his character well. Don't worry, he won't have any other intentions toward you." Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. "I heard from Sister Jiaojiao that he has 2 concubines." Ever since she met Du Jiaojiao at Mingxian, Yang had seen her several times. Upon learning that Du Jiaojiao had 2 concubines, Yang had labeled him a philandering womanizer. What kind of era was it that people still took 2 concubines? Mo Chishan nodded. "Brother Du does indeed have 2 concubines, but that's just the surface and it doesn't define Brother Du's character. It might be related to his early experiences. Du Jiaojiao, who had seen all walks of life, never believed in love or romantic affairs, devoting himself entirely to Buddhism, much like a monk. Over the years, no one had really caught Du Jiaojiao's eye. Even a fairy, in Du Jiaojiao's view, was no different from an ordinary person. To put it bluntly, Du Jiaojiao would never fall for a woman in his lifetime. Surface appearances?" Yang asked with confusion. "What do you mean?" Mo Chishan continued. "Brother Du is the powerful Du Jiaojiao known throughout the area and naturally can't show his true feelings. So, those 2 concubines at home are nothing but a facade to throw opponents off." Yang furrowed her brows slightly. "You mean all this is fake?" Mo Chishan nodded. "Brother Du has never been a womanizer." Yang was a bit shocked. "So I misunderstood him. But if that's the case, those 2 widowed concubines are really quite pitiful." Mo Chishan nearly choked on his own saliva. His wife sure spoke bluntly. "They each get what they need." Mo Chishan continued. "Brother Du needs them to mislead others. They need Brother Du's power. Being kept in Brother Du's residence ensures not only their lives are carefree, but also that their families rise in fortune as well." Yang nodded slightly. "That makes sense." Mo Chishan continued. "So if you need anything, you can go directly to Brother Du." Yang smiled and said, "I shouldn't be able to trouble him with much. I know how capable you are." Mo Chishan pulled her into his arms. "But Brother Du doesn't have many relatives or friends here, so if you have time, you could visit him in my place." Yang pinched his nose. "Aren't you afraid I might run off with your Brother Du?" "Not scared." Mo Chishan continued. "Brother Du has suffered a lot in his early years. He has experienced all facets of life, except warmth. If you visit often, you can at least keep him company and chat." In the case of anyone else, Mo Chishan would not dare take such a risk, but Du Jiaojiao was different. Yang nodded. "Okay, I understand. So it's just about offering warmth? I'm really good at that." Yang often visited nursing homes in her past life to bring warmth to the lonely elderly. Such tasks were a piece of cake for her. Half a month before the college entrance exam, there was a mock exam. During the last 2 subjects, Yang felt a bit unwell, left many questions unanswered, and left the exam room early. When the results came out, Yang still ranked first in her year. With a total score of 650, Yang scored 590. Seeing the rankings, Li Wei breathed a sigh of relief. Although Yang was first, she was only 5 points ahead of him. During the exam, he had a fever and wasn't feeling well, leaving some questions unanswered. if he had been in better shape. Chapter 866. Dominance to Death, Both Cool and Beautiful. Upon hearing this, another teacher curiously leaned over and asked, "What happened? How come An Young only scored in the teens for physics and history?" Normally, An Young had never scored so low. By her side, An Yang's homeroom teacher, Teacher Su, said, "She wasn't feeling well and handed in her paper early." "No wonder," said the teacher who had spoken. "Old Su, it looks like this year's top student in our city will definitely be An Young from your class." Teacher Su adjusted her glasses and replied modestly, "There's always someone better than the best. It's too early to be certain." Zhang Chang felt very uncomfortable when he heard this. An Young was someone he had introduced to the school, and the top student was from their class. The feeling was like having won a 5 million jackpot, but losing the lottery ticket. Terrible. As the exam drew closer, An Young seldom visited the shop these days and was thoroughly revising at home. She hadn't taken part in the 1985 college entrance examination and didn't know what it was like, but she knew there would definitely be text completion questions in Chinese. Reading comprehension, classical Chinese interpretation, and essay writing didn't scare her. It was the text completion that she dreaded the most. So she had been cramming for Chinese at home these past few days. Then, in the blink of an eye, the day of the college entrance examination arrived. July 7th. The college entrance examination is a major turning point in life, and both the Zheng family and the Shangguan family took it very seriously. Old Master Zheng, Madame Zheng, and the Dowager Madame Shangguan all wanted to personally escort An Young to the examination room. But she refused them, saying that the whole family showing up would be too grand. "Grandma's, Grandpa, Mom and Dad, don't worry," she said. "It's just an exam. Why are you more nervous than I am? Having big brother Mo with me is enough." "Then why hasn't Xiaomo arrived yet?" Madame Shangguan asked anxiously. "He should be here soon," An Young replied. "I arranged to meet him at the intersection up ahead." "Oh, go on ahead." Madame Zheng grabbed An Yang's wrist. Yang, are you sure you don't need us to accompany you?" An Yang smiled and said, "Really, I don't. I have big brother Mo with me, and it's not like I'm alone." Seeing An Yang so composed and not at all nervous, Madame Zheng also breathed a sigh of relief. "Then we will make something delicious at home and wait for you tonight." "MHM," An Yang nodded. Just like it had been arranged. As soon as An Yang stepped out of the front door, Mo Qishan arrived in his car. An Yang opened the car door and got in. "Why are you driving today? Where's Wu Daming?" An Yang asked, puzzled. Mo Qishan replied, "Because it's the college entrance examination. Wu Daming's sister is also taking it this year, so he went back to accompany her." An Yang nodded. "You wouldn't expect Daming to be such a good brother." At this time, the countryside still held a strong preference for sons over daughters. It was very difficult for a family to let a girl take the college entrance examination. Unlike in later generations where men and women were treated as equals and female university students were everywhere. Before long, they had reached the examination room. The examination room was at a certain middle school in Beijing. There were many parents there to send off their children, most of whom had come by bicycle. There were very few who, like Mo Qishan, had arrived by car. For a moment, this garnered many lingering glances. Fortunately, the atmosphere in Beijing was gradually becoming more open, and it wasn't rare to see couples secretly holding hands on the street. Rewind a few decades, and a young couple like An Yang and Mo Qishan would have been subjected to public criticism. Mo Qishan carefully checked the pencil case, making sure that all the stationery and her admission ticket were in place. Then he said, Yang, don't be nervous. I will be right here waiting for you when you come out." "I'm not nervous. You, on the other hand, are sweating, big brother Mo, and you're not even the one taking the exam." An Yang stood on her tiptoes and used her sleeve to wipe away the beads of sweat on Mo Qishan's forehead. Being so close, she could smell a fresh mint fragrance mixed with a subtle scent of tobacco. "I'm heading in," An Yang continued. "Wait a moment," Mo Qishan said, catching An Yang's wrist. An Yang looked back slightly. "What is it?" Mo Qishan held her hand with one hand and took off the watch from his own left wrist with the other, placing it on her wrist. Wear this and you can check the time during the exam. The men's watch was large, making her fair wrist look even more delicate and exquisite. I'm off then, Anayang said, shaking the wristwatch. Good luck. Don't worry, Anayang nodded, smilingly replied. I will, big brother Mo. See you later. Mo Chishan waved at her and watched as her figure disappeared at the school gate. Chapter 867. Dominantly awesome, both cool and beautiful. Underforing. Anayang walked to the examination room with her things. The examination rooms of the 80s, although lacking the electronic gadgets of later generations, and without the need for security checks, were still very solemn affairs. In a large classroom of 60 square meters, only 20 desks were placed, spaced generously apart. With 4 proctors on duty and rotating inspectors overseeing the room, cheating was all but impossible. Anayang's seat was by the window in the first group. As the exam had not yet begun, murmurs quickly spread from the surrounding. Beauties, regardless of the era, would always receive special treatment. My God, which school is she from? She's so pretty. Idiot, didn't you see the uniform? She's from Third City Middle School. Third City Middle School, could she be the school beauty? Hearing the word school beauty, someone curiously asked. What school beauty? The one from Third City Middle School. I think her name is Anayang. Our cousin goes there too, and he said that their school beauty is really amazing. She often ranks first. Really? Wow. The whispers rose and fell, but Anayang, as if not hearing them at all, twirled a black pen in one hand and rested her chin in the other, gazing out the window. A breeze lifted her waterfall-like black hair as a serene expression rested on her clear-cut face. The room only returned to quiet when the proctor walked in with the exam papers. Students, quiet down now, said the proctor. Please place your pencil cases on the desks. We're going to start checking them. In the future, students would use transparent pencil bags during national college entrance exams, but at that time, there were none and pencil cases were standard. To prevent cheating with notes hidden inside them, teachers inspected every pencil case before the exams. Everyone set their pencil cases on the desks, and the proctors divided into 4 groups, meticulously checking, careful not to overlook anything. 10 minutes later, the distribution of exam papers began. The first exam was Chinese, from 9 to 11:30. The examination room was incredibly quiet, save for the sound of rustling writing. Chinese was not stressful for Anayang. Even the text completion section posed no challenge, as the time spent studying Chinese texts had not been in vain. The essay portion was more interesting. It was to write an essay based on the philosophy contained within an ancient poem, with a self-determined stance and self-created title. The poem was Pear Blossoms by the Eastern Fence by the Northern Song Dynasty poet, Su Shi. The most classic lines from the poem were, melancholic is the snow on the eastern fence. How much of life can be discerned and understood? Anayang's brows quirked up slightly, and as if struck by inspiration, she settled on the title of her essay, Youth Fleeting. In the 2.5-hour exam, Anayang finished all the questions in an hour and a half. However, leaving early was not permitted, so after thoroughly reviewing her answers twice, Anayang spent the time doodling on scratch paper. She had wanted to sleep, but this was the National College Entrance Examination Room. After all, and openly sleeping might affect the other students. A proctor passed by Anayang and noticed her drawing. Firstly impressed, then shook their head in resignation. Although her drawing looked decent, this was an exam after all, and these exams determined one's future path in life. How could she be so carefree? That was irresponsible to her own life. An hour quickly passed, and outside it was the peak of the sun's strength. The scorching heat was uncomfortable. As soon as Anayang stepped out of the door, a shadow enveloped her from above, and the burning sensation on her skin immediately lessened considerably. It was Mo Chishan coming over with an umbrella. Yang, you must be burning up. Have an ice pop first. Anayang replied with a smile. It's okay, it wasn't hot in the classroom. I didn't realize it was so hot outside. Where did the ice pop come from? Over there. Mo Chishan pointed towards the roadside. At that time, ice pops were sold out of insulated boxes, And knowing today was the day of the National College Entrance Exam, the seller had timed his arrival perfectly. At the moment, the uncle was surrounded by a crowd. Na-young turned her head and raised an eyebrow in surprise, struggling to imagine Mo-chishin jostling with so many people for an old-fashioned ice pop. Taking a bite of the ice pop handed to her, the coolness was refreshing and the flavor classic, loaded with memories. "Brother Mo, want a bite?" Na-young offered the ice pop to Mo-chishin's lips. The two had already kissed, so sharing an ice pop was naturally not a concern. And moreover, Mo-chishin had bought only one ice pop precisely to share it with Na-young. Chapter 868. Dominantly awesome, both cool and beautiful. _3. They shared the popsicle, taking turns, and quickly finished it. Since they had math and English exams in the afternoon, the two did not go home but found a restaurant to eat. After lunch, Mo-chishin found a guest house for them. Na-young rested for over an hour at noon, and then returned to the examination room. As Na-young studied science, the afternoon math exam was half an hour longer than the Chinese exam. The next morning, they had exams in physics and history, and in the afternoon, chemistry and politics. The third day concluded with the biology exam in the morning. After 3 consecutive days of exams, when Na-young walked out of the examination room on the afternoon of the third day, she felt much more relaxed. Just then, a male student hurried to catch up with her. "Excuse me, could you wait for a moment?" Na-young looked back and saw a young boy around 17 or 18 years old, with a shy smile on his face. "Are you calling me?" Na-young asked. "Yes," the boy nodded and introduced himself. "I am Zhong Aigua, a student from the second city high school. We were in the same examination room. You were in the first group, I was in the second." Throughout the 3 days of exams, Zhong Aigua had noticed Na-young. Whenever he encountered a tough question, all he needed to do was look up to see her profile. Her profile was as exquisite as a painting, more beautiful than the scenery outside the window, and it was comforting. On the first day of exams, Zhong Aigua wanted to strike up a conversation with Na-young, but never found the courage. Today being the last day, he knew he'd never get another chance if he didn't act now. Na-young did not reject this friendly advance. "I'm Na-young from the third city high school." Zhong Aigua continued. "Is it Na as in individual and yang as in fireworks?" "Yes," Na-young nodded. Keeping pace with Na-young, Zhong Aigua asked, "Na-young, where do you live?" Before Na-young could answer, Zhong Aigua added, "I live in the south part of the city. It's convenient to go anywhere from there. How about we walk home together?" Outside the school gate, Mo-chishin was eagerly waiting for Na-young. When he finally spotted her, his face lit up, but then darkened rapidly when he saw Zhong Aigua with her. Na-young looked up at Mo-chishin and said, "No need, my boyfriend is waiting over there for me." "Boyfriend?" Zhong Aigua was stunned. You have a boyfriend?" Na-young nodded. "Yes," pointing towards Mo-chishin, "that's him." Following the direction of Na-young's finger, Zhong Aigua saw a distinguished figure holding a black umbrella, dressed in a crisply ironed suit, his handsome face and slightly upturned delicate eyes shining coldly. Despite the heat of summer, he gave off a chill. Zhong Aigua, frightened, withdrew his gaze, feeling a sudden inferiority. Such an outstanding man, how could he compete? His unstarted first love died in its cradle, leaving Zhong Aigua very unreconciled. "Is he really your boyfriend?" "Of course. I need to go now," said Na-young, and she jogged away. Zhong Aigua watched as Na-young ran up to Mo-chishin, who considerately covered her entirely with his umbrella and tenderly swept her bangs behind her ear. So they really were boyfriend and girlfriend. Zhong Aigua felt suffocated, a heavy, stifling feeling. The scene looked very loving to those around. In fact, Mo-chishin was using the opportunity to touch her hair to question Na-young. "Yang, who was that just now?" His voice gradually filled with jealousy. Na-young, with a slight dimple showing, jested, "Oh my, who spilled their vinegar here? It's so sour." "Yang, do you think him too old?" Mo-chishin continued to inquire. There was a 10-year age difference between him and Na-young. Before confirming their relationship, he had always been worried about this. "Not at all." Seeing Mo-chishin turn serious, Na-young took his hand. "Mo, you are great, You are outstanding, and handsome to boot. I wouldn't dislike you. Really? Emo-chishin asked. Really? And Young nodded. Emo-chishin followed up. Who was that person just now? And Young responded. Just another student in the examination room. I don't even know his name. And Young had a good memory, and she would not forget Emo-chishin easily. She said this just to cheer her Mr. Emo up. Chapter 869. Dominantly awesome, both cool and beautiful. _4. You really don't know? Emo-chishin's dark expression lightened a bit. Really, I swear. And Young held up 3 fingers. Emo-chishin continued. Then what were you just talking to him about? You two seemed quite happy chatting. And Young replied. I told him my boyfriend has arrived. Didn't you see me pointing at you just now? With that explanation, Emo-chishin was completely relieved. What shall we have for lunch? And Young thought for a moment, then said, let's go to Color and Fragrance. I've been craving tiramisu. All right. This was Emo-chishin's 3rd visit to Color and Fragrance. Color and Fragrance was a renowned restaurant in Beijing, and though it hadn't been open for long, it had revolutionized the dining scene in the city. Yang, Color and Fragrance is your business, isn't it? Emo-chishin turned to look at an Yang. And Young was surprised and asked, Emo brother, how did you know? Emo-chishin had been particularly busy for a while, and Young wanted to keep it low-key, so she hadn't told Emo-chishin about Color and Fragrance. But to her surprise, Emo-chishin had guessed it. His thin lips curved slightly. I recognized your style at first glance. An old era had just ended, and at this time, the national sentiment favored Western culture. Vintage culture was seen as old-fashioned and rotting, and few would decorate a restaurant in a traditional Chinese retro style, let alone employ hanfu costumes as a uniform for the waitstaff. Emo brother, you're really smart. And Young offered her praises without stinginess. Of course. Emo-chishin adopted Yang's usual arrogant tone. Otherwise, how could I be your Emo brother? Time flew by, and before they knew it, another week had passed. After spending over a month with Young, Emo-chishin had to get busy again. Before he left, Emo-chishin took Young to visit Grandpa Du just like last time. Grandpa Du was sitting in the Buddha hall, chanting scriptures. Hearing the familiar sound of the wooden fish, Young whispered, Emo brother, is your big brother Du renouncing worldly pleasures? Emo-chishin nodded. It's very possible. However, big brother Du still has many things to sort out. I guess he won't become a monk anytime soon. As they were walking towards the Buddha hall, footsteps were heard from behind. Yang. And Young looked back slightly. Sister Jiao Jiao. Emo-chishin nodded slightly. Du second sister. Du Jiao Jiao looked at them. Yang, are you really with this guy? Yes, Sister Jiao Jiao. Du Jiao Jiao continued. I thought he would never marry. This is really disappointing. Emo-chishin used to be quite ascetic. Although Grandpa Du was not intent on celibacy, passing through a myriad of flowers without a single leaf touching him, Emo-chishin was thoroughly indifferent to women, not even having a female assistant around. At one point, Du Jiaojiao doubted if there was something wrong with Emo-chishin's health. Otherwise, at his age in the prime of life, how could he not like women? So when Du Jiaojiao heard that Emo-chishin and Yang were together, she thought it was a joke made by Grandpa Du, but it turned out to be true. Emo-chishin remained composed. Du second sister, you jest. Du Jiaojiao said with a smile. Our Yang is so beautiful, you can't let her down. Don't worry, Du second sister. Du Jiaojiao went on. I'm relieved with your words. While they were talking, Grandpa Du, holding Buddha beads, walked out from the Buddha hall. Peiji is here. Big brother Du Jiaojiao said. The weather is nice today, not hot and with a breeze. A younger sister of mine came over too. Why don't we sit in the garden? All right, Grandpa Du nodded. Yang and Emo-chishin were guests, and guests followed their host's lead. So naturally, they had no objections. Du Jiaojiao's good friend from Shanghai was called Fu Xiaoshuang. She was 21 this year, very pretty, petite and delicate, with finely drawn eyebrows like willow leaves and light lipstick, the epitome of a wealthy and pampered lady. Her soft-spoken manner could melt into one's bones. Fu Xiaoshuang had pursued Mo Qixin for a while, to no avail. So now she had set her sights on Grandpa Du. Although Grandpa Du already had 2 mistresses, she didn't mind. She was more confident in winning over Grandpa Du than Mo Qixin. After all, Grandpa Du was a man known for indulging in pleasures. To become the matron of the Du family was to rule over the flourishing Shanghai. Thereafter, it would be her Fu family's domain. Chapter 870. Dominant and Dead, Both Cool and Beautiful. _5. Seeing Mo Qixin walking over hand in hand with An Yang, Fu Xiaoshuang was quite surprised. Wasn't Mo Qixin known for not liking women? She had pursued Mo Qixin for over a year, but not once did he even glance her way. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, Mo Qixin was with someone else. Fu Xiaoshuang was somewhat unable to accept it for a moment. In terms of timing, she was the one who knew Mo Qixin first. Logically, it should be her who ended up together with Mo Qixin. Although Du Jiaojiao's father was also a good catch, he already had 2 mistresses. What man in today's society still has multiple wives and concubines? In Fu Xiaoshuang's heart, she favored Mo Qixin slightly more, having given up on him previously because she thought he didn't like women. Had she known Mo Qixin liked women, she wouldn't have given up on him. An Yang was the only one unaware of Fu Xiaoshuang, so Du Jiaojiao took the initiative to introduce them. Xiaoshuang, this is my good friend An Yang. Yang, this is my little sister Fu Xiaoshuang. She's 2 years older than you. You can just call her Sister Fu. Sister Fu. Yang. Fu Xiaoshuang, who easily warmed up to people, immediately followed Du Jiaojiao and called out. The group sat down at a stone table in the garden, sipping tea and chatting leisurely. Fu Xiaoshuang seemed quite interested in An Yang, constantly engaging her in conversation. An Yang faintly felt that something was off about Fu Xiaoshuang, but still greeted her with a smile. Du Jiaojiao's father looked up at Fu Xiaoshuang, a tinge of darkness flashing in his eyes, rotating the Buddha beads in his hand. Refill Miss Fu's cup, please. Of course. The servant by their side immediately poured tea for Fu Xiaoshuang. Fu Xiaoshuang wished she could dig up An Yang's ancestors. She had no interest in drinking tea at that moment. Du Jiaojiao pressed down on Fu Xiaoshuang's hand. Xiaoshuang, drink your tea first. She hadn't expected Fu Xiaoshuang to still be hung up on Mo Qixin. Had she known it would be like this, she wouldn't have suggested going to the back garden to drink tea. Du Jiaojiao deeply regretted it. On the way back, Mo Qixin took the initiative to explain to An Yang that Fu Xiaoshuang once pursued me. If she bothers you again in the future, just ignore her. Oh, I was wondering why Fu Xiaoshuang was acting so strangely. An Yang had a sudden realization. So she's interested in you. Mo Qixin looked at An Yang in surprise. Yang, aren't you the least bit angry? He had thought An Yang would be very angry after hearing this. But instead An Yang showed no reaction at all. Didn't An Yang's lack of anger mean she didn't care about him at all? Was she about to ask for a breakup next? Mo Qixin imagined 100 different possibilities, knitting his brows into a chuan shape. An Yang raised an eyebrow slightly, her lips curved with a gentle dimple. Someone liking you shows you're charming, and it also proves I have good taste. Why should I be angry? Besides, it's Fu Xiaoshuang's freedom to like who she wants. We don't live by the sea, so how can we be so controlling? Mo Qixin blanked for a moment. What does that have to do with your good taste? You dunce. An Yang laughed. It obviously means I have good taste in picking boyfriends. Really? Mo Qixin suddenly became excited. That meant there was still a whole group of people out there wanting to chase after him. An Yang continued. But you mustn't give them any undue hints and must keep your distance from them. You must always remember that you have a girlfriend. If I see you two timing, we break up on the spot. An Yang was by no means joking. Although she liked Mo Qixin, if he ever betrayed her, she would break up immediately, cutting through the mess without a second's hesitation. Hearing the last 2 words, Mo Qixin's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly said, Wife, don't worry, I promise I won't two-time. Those gaudy women out there, I promise I won't take a second look. If I take a second look, may lightning strike me. Seeing Mo Qixin taking it so seriously, An Yang laughed. Brother Mo, I know you're not that kind of person. I'm just laying it out in advance, just in case. Mo Chishan looked back at her earnestly. There won't be a just in case. The next day, Mo Chishan boarded a plane to F country. It was Ni Yang who took him to the airport. Also accompanying them was Du Jiaojiu's father. Brother Du, please take care of Yang Yang for me. Du Jiaojiu's father nodded. Rest assured. Yang Yang, I'm leaving. Mo Chishan went over to hug Ni Yang, and lastly, planted a kiss on her face. Chapter 871. Dominantly awesome, both cool and beautiful. _6. Mo Chishan held her and seemed reluctant to let go, and Ni Yang reminded him. Brother Mo, your boarding time is approaching, it will be delayed soon. Mo Chishan sighed and said in a low voice, Yang Yang, I can't bear to leave you. Don't worry, I'll write to you and I'll call you when I can, Ni Yang said. In an era where communication tools were not well developed, making international calls was not easy. Writing letters was also inconvenient as it took a long time for them to arrive. Mo Chishan tightened his arms and hugged Ni Yang firmly before finally letting go. It was only after Mo Chishan's figure disappeared at the boarding gate that Ni Yang turned to leave. Brother Du, let's go. Okay. Du nodded and followed Ni Yang. The weather was very hot. Today, Ni Yang was not wearing a cheongsam but a simple white shirt and jeans. Even in such a simple outfit, she still caught everyone's eye, especially standing next to Du, who was clad in commoner's clothes. Throughout their walk, countless people turned to glance at them. Ni Yang glanced sideways. Aren't you hot wearing so much? In the 6th and 7th months of the lunar calendar, the scorching sun was high in the sky, and it was the hottest time. She felt hot even in a thin shirt, but Du seemed unaware of the heat. He still wore his commoner's clothes and cloth shoes, and oddly enough, there wasn't a single bead of sweat on his forehead. Not hot. Du twirled his Buddha beads. I was born with a cold constitution, immune to heat and cold. Really? Ni Yang expressed her doubt. Do you want to check it? Du reached out his hand that was holding the Buddha beads. Ni Yang paused. How could I verify that? Du raised an eyebrow. Aren't you a doctor? Ni Yang had previously taken Du's pulse, but she hadn't noticed this peculiarity then. Could there really be such a thing as a natural cold constitution? While walking, Ni Yang reached out to touch Du's wrist and listened intently to his pulse. Your pulse seems to be different from that of a normal person. Du withdrew his hand. That's the cold body constitution. Ni Yang continued. Someone with your type of body would be more suited for medical research. What do you mean? Du asked. Ni Yang explained, simply put, it means that after you pass away, donating your body to medical researchers for dissection could lead to new breakthroughs in China's medical history. Ni Yang hadn't planned on having much interaction with Du, but she had promised Mo Chishan to bring some warmth to this lonely old man. Life as a lonely elder was not easy. Du twitched his eyebrows. You're cursing me to die. Life and death are the common states of human existence, Ni Yang continued. I'm certainly not cursing you. Du, twirling his Buddha beads, agreed. You're right. While they were speaking, they reached the outside of the airport. The car was parked outside. Brother Du, Miss Ni, the driver said as he promptly opened the door for them. That morning, it had been Du who picked up Mo Chishan. Du was a very considerate man and worried Ni Yang might be uncomfortable. He took the front passenger seat. Ni Yang sat in the back seat. Having talked with Mo Chishan all the night before and not sleeping well, Ni Yang was seated alone in the spacious back seat. She fell asleep within 3 minutes of getting in the car. A clear, picture-like face could be seen from the rearview mirror. Keep the speed down, Du instructed the driver in a low voice. Sure, the driver responded, immediately slowing down. The car drove slowly down the street when suddenly, hiss. The car mid-drive came to a stop. The sudden jolt woke Ni Yang. Have we arrived? The driver, careful not to upset Du, replied. Not yet, it seems the car has broken down. Oh, go check. With that, the driver opened the door and stepped out of the car. Ni Yang followed suit. The driver lifted the hood and inspected it, fiddling around for quite a while without success. It seemed Du was growing impatient as he also opened the door and got out. What's the matter? The driver said. The problem seems serious. Brother Du, we might have to walk back. The airport was located in a remote suburb, no village in front nor a store in back, and they had no communication tools with them. It looked like they truly had to walk back. It's 30 kilometers from here to Demingxian, Du stated flatly. 30 kilometers? That probably meant walking all day. The driver fell silent. He feared he might lose his job. Just then, Yang walked over to the front of the car and looked down, then said, "Hand me the screwdriver." "Miss Anai, you know how to fix cars?" The driver was surprised but immediately handed Yang the screwdriver. Chapter 872. Dominant and Dead, Both Cool and Beautiful. _7. I know a little. Yang took the screwdriver. In this era, where would you find a woman who can repair cars? Yang, in her past life, was never married and didn't have a boyfriend. She liked to go on road trips, and of course, you need to know a bit about car repair for that. In case the car broke down on the road, she could fix minor issues by herself. Mr. Du's expression was indifferent. "Can you fix it?" Yang took the screwdriver handed over by the driver, and quickly twisted off a part from the car. "I'll give it a try, but don't hold out too much hope. Be prepared to walk back at any moment." "Wrench," Yang spoke again. In no time, those pale white hands were smeared with black dust and gasoline. The contrast of white and black was striking and highly conspicuous. After roughly 10 minutes, Yang, with a screwdriver and wrench in hand, carefully scratched her nose and raised her long legs to close the hood of the car. That posture, it had an indescribable coolness. Cool and beautiful. The driver was stunned. How long must her legs be to manage that move? The driver couldn't help but look down at his own legs. Yang put the wrench and screwdriver back into the toolbox and said to the driver, "Go ahead and give it another try." The driver nodded, pulled open the driver's door, inserted the key, and started the engine. "It's working. Miss Anai, you're really amazing." The driver was very excited to see the car start successfully. Yang, uncharacteristically humble, said, "I just got lucky and stumbled upon the solution." Getting into the car, Mr. Du said without looking back, "Yang, do you know how to drive?" "Yeah." Yang nodded. Recalling a certain image, Mr. Du continued, "Then your driving must be pretty good, right?" "It's decent." Yang kept it modest. "You're too modest," Mr. Du said. Yang agreed with a nod. "I think so too." Mr. Du. About 10 or so minutes later, they stopped in front of the Zheng family's house. Yang greeted Mr. Du, and then pulled the car door open to get out. As soon as she got out, Zheng Xianjing came over from the other side. "Yang. Sister Xianjing." Yang greeted with a smile, like a carefree young girl. "Who's sitting in the car?" Zheng Xianjing asked, even though she already knew. "Mr. Du," Yang answered. Zheng Xianjing continued. "There was a misunderstanding between Mr. Du and me last time. I'll go and say hello to Mr. Du." As she spoke, Zheng Xianjing had already approached the car door. "Mr. Du, do you remember me? I am Yang Yang's sister, Zheng Xianjing." Zheng Xianjing always felt that Mr. Du must be interested in her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given her such a big gift when they first met. "Drive." Mr. Du ordered the driver to go, as if he hadn't seen Zheng Xianjing at all. What Zheng Xianjing was left with was only the dust flying all around. Zheng Xianjing's features were twisted in anger. Yang feigned ignorance. "Sister Xianjing, are you okay?" Zheng Xianjing mustered a small smile. "I'm fine, Yang. Didn't you promise to explain things to Mr. Du for me last time? Why does he still treat me this way when he sees me now?" Yang took Zheng Xianjing's hand. "I did explain for you. Don't lose heart, Sister Xianjing. I believe that if you persevere, Mr. Du will eventually let go of his prejudices against you." Zheng Xianjing narrowed her eyes, sensing that Yang might be toying with her. An illusion? It must be an illusion. Today was Saturday, and after dinner, Yang followed Cuihua and Shangguan Dehui, along with little Yun, to the Shangguan family. Zheng Suyu had been feeling quite well these past few days, so she sat at the dinner table with everyone during the meal. Suddenly, Zheng Suyu started foaming at the mouth, fell to the ground, and began convulsing in a somewhat terrifying manner. Mr. Zheng and Mrs. Zheng were startled and immediately put down their chopsticks, but they dared not touch Zheng Suyu, fearing they would cause further harm. They quickly turned to the servants. Niu Ma, hurry and call Dr. Jiang. Zheng Suyu's condition was very critical at the moment, and Yang immediately went over to administer first aid. Zheng Lingling said, Yang, you can't treat mental illnesses. Let's wait for Aunt Jiang to come. What if Aunt Suyu gets worse under your treatment? Yang didn't say a word. She looked up at Suehua. Mom, can you please go get my medical kit from my room? She never allowed the house's servants to touch her medical kit, and only Suehua knew where it was. Okay. Suehua nodded and immediately went upstairs to get the medical kit. Zheng Lingling was beside herself with worry. Yang, don't mess around. This is not the time to show off. Mom, Dad, you guys need to persuade Yang. Zheng Lingling was still somewhat concerned about Yang, especially after learning of Yang's medical skills. If only they hadn't let Zheng Suyu, this ticking time bomb, stay. She regretted it. Zheng Lingling clenched her fists. Mrs. Zheng said, Lingling, don't worry. Although Yang is young, she knows what she's doing. After speaking, Mrs. Zheng continued, Yang, how is your grandma doing? She was fine just now. How could this happen to her? This was the first time Zheng Suyu had ever had such a problem. Yang's face looked grim. The situation isn't very optimistic. It seems it's time to try the 13 ghost points. But there were still many things about the 13 ghost points technique that Yang hadn't fully figured out yet, and she wasn't 100% sure she could cure the condition. Hearing her words, Mrs. Zheng's face turned pale. Then what do we do? Chapter 873. Zheng Suyu woke up. Yang's eyes lifted slightly. Grandma, don't worry, I will do my utmost effort to cure Great-Aunt. Okay. Great-Grandma Zheng nodded, her eyes unable to hide her concern. Hearing this, Zheng Lingling sighed with relief. From the meaning of Yang's words, she knew that there wasn't much confidence in her ability to cure Zheng Suyu. Shortly after, Suehua brought Yang's medical box down from upstairs. Yang took out sterilized medical cotton from the box and wiped the froth from Zheng Suyu's mouth. She wiped meticulously, her expression not showing the slightest disdain, as if she were not afraid of getting dirty. After a series of emergency measures had been taken, Yang instructed 2 servants to carry Zheng Suyu upstairs. Old Master Zheng, Great-Grandma Zheng, and the others also followed upstairs. The room was fitted with an air conditioning unit, and the cool breeze was blowing gently, not feeling stuffy at all, but Zheng Suyu's forehead was still beaded with layers of fine sweat. Yang pressed her hand on Zheng Suyu's pulse and frowned slightly. Now Zheng Suyu's problem was not only psychological, but her health was also in great jeopardy. In this situation, treatment needed to be administered as quickly as possible. Yang wrote a prescription and handed it to Suehua. Mom, please go purchase the medicine listed here. Okay. Suehua nodded. I'll drive you there, Shangguan Dehui said, following Kuihua's steps. Not long after Suehua left, the sound of hurried footsteps and Dr. Jiang's voice came from the doorway. Aching, what happened to Suyu? As soon as Dr. Jiang entered, she firmly grasped Great-Grandma Zheng's hands, her wrinkled face full of worry. This made Yang inexplicably think of Snow White's stepmother. She didn't know if it was an illusion, but Yang felt there was something very wrong with Dr. Jiang. Great-Grandma Zheng truly regarded Dr. Jiang as a dear sister. Her eyes instantly reddened. Suyu's condition is very bad. I'll go check on her, Dr. Jiang comforted. Don't worry, Suyu will certainly be all right. Okay. Great-Grandma Zheng nodded. Carrying a medical box, Dr. Jiang approached the bedside. Has Yang already examined your great-aunt? Yang nodded. Zheng Lingling quickly said, Aunt Jiang, Yang practices traditional Chinese medicine and doesn't have much research in mental diseases. Please examine Aunt Suyu quickly, don't delay her treatment. Dr. Jiang smiled and said, Lingling, don't worry. I find this child Yang to be very steady. Medical skills are passed down from generation to generation, and the essence remains the same. Whether it's Western medicine or traditional Chinese medicine, Each has its own quintessence. Somehow, hearing Dr. Jiang say this, Zheng Lingling's originally nervous heart immediately calmed down. Since Dr. Jiang was going to examine Zheng Suyu, Yang did not stop her but stood up to give Dr. Jiang her place. Dr. Jiang took out a stethoscope, sphygmomanometer, and thermometer and pressed them against Zheng Suyu's body. Her technique was very professional. Clearly, she was a very experienced old doctor. Zheng Lingling then asked, "Aunt Jiang, how is Aunt Suyu?" Dr. Jiang put down the stethoscope and spoke kindly. "It's all right. Thanks to Yang's timely emergency measures, Suyu is now out of danger." "That's good," Zheng Lingling said. "Aunt Jiang, we're entrusting Aunt Suyu's care to you." Dr. Jiang continued, "I have to say I'm embarrassed. Although I've been practicing medicine for many years, and have spent my life as a doctor, my medical skills do not even compare to half of Yang's. Yang, you should continue treating your great-aunt." "Grandma Jiang, you flatter me too much," Yang said humbly. "I am just starting out, barely understanding the basics. How can I compare to you? You've been practicing for so many years, and have a wide range of knowledge. What kind of cases haven't you seen?" Zheng Lingling was anxious for Dr. Jiang to treat her, but Dr. Jiang kept insisting that Yang should do it. Dr. Jiang appeared kind-hearted, but in truth, she had a hidden agenda. The more Yang observed, the more she felt something was off. Dr. Jiang smiled at great-grandma Zheng. "Aching, your granddaughter is truly clever and articulate, just like you when you were young. We don't see such modest young people nowadays." Great-grandma Zheng also felt very gratified to hear someone praise Yang. Yang takes after her great-aunt. Suyu was also smart when she was young. It's a pity Suyu was temporarily short-sighted. In Western medicine, this is called depression. In the end, because her inner conflict remained unresolved, she ended up like this. In her youth, Zheng Suyu was a talented woman, but after experiencing betrayal and heartache, she never recovered. Chapter 874. Zheng Suyu woke up. Upon hearing this, Yang's eyebrows slightly raised. This Dr. Jiang was really no ordinary person. He even knew about depression. It seemed that he must have read quite a few books on psychiatry. Madame Zheng sighed and continued, "Xiaoyan, how is Suyu doing now? How confident are you?" Dr. Jiang said, "I was not joking when I said my medical skills are not as good as Yang's. I'm not confident I can cure Suyu's illness. Why not let Yang have a look?" As he spoke, Dr. Jiang added, "Aching, your granddaughter will be successful one day. You just wait and enjoy the blessings she brings. Then I'll take your auspicious words." Madame Zheng turned her head to look at Yang. "Yang, since your grandma Jiang says so, why don't you take a look at your auntie-grandma?" "Okay," Yang nodded. Dr. Jiang maintained a smile. "I wonder, Yang, how confident are you in curing your auntie-grandma?" "Probably only 10%, Yang answered. 10% confidence. This statement made Madame Zheng's brow twitch. Zheng Suyu was only 55 years old. Dr. Jiang looked at Yang and said, "It's really the younger generation that's to be feared. In my hands, your auntie-grandma might not even have a chance for a 0.5% recovery, but in Yang's hands, there's a 10% chance." Detecting the flattery in his words, Yang said, "Grandma Jiang, you're being too modest." "It's just that my abilities are limited," Dr. Jiang sighed. "I'm old now, and my medical skills aren't what they used to be. It's the younger generation's world now." Zheng Lingling frowned slightly and said, "Aunt Jiang, what are you saying? Auntie Suyu has always been under your care. If it weren't for you over these years, Auntie Suyu might have." Dr. Jiang interrupted Zheng Lingling, his tone still cheerful. "Lingling, thank you for holding Aunt Jiang in such high regard. But in life, you can refuse anything except old age. In medicine, it's said that metabolism is constant. Life is the same. It's about old thoughts gradually vanishing, while new ones grow. Isn't there also that saying? The blue is made out of the indigo, but is more brilliant than it." Zheng Lingling nodded. "You're right." Yang held the gold needle in her hand and looked up at Zheng Lingling, her gaze subtly sweeping over Dr. Jiang. Something was not right with Zheng Lingling, nor with Dr. Jiang. These two in one accord seemed very suspicious. Yet, when all their words were put together, there was no tangible problem to pinpoint. After a long time had passed, Enai Tsuehua and Shengguan Dehui returned. Madame Zheng quickly asked, "Tingting, have you bought the medicine?" Enai Tsuehua nodded. "It's already been bought, and it's being prepared in the kitchen now." After speaking, Enai Tsuehua then saw Dr. Jiang. She was taken aback at first, then greeted Dr. Jiang, "Aunt Jiang." For some reason, every time she saw Dr. Jiang, Enai Tsuehua felt a strange sensation inside. It was as if she had seen Dr. Jiang somewhere before. Tingting is back. Dr. Jiang was always very kind, no matter who she saw, because Madame Zheng was worried about Zheng Suyu. It was Zheng Lingling who escorted Dr. Jiang out. After Zheng Lingling had left, Enai Tsuehua curiously asked, "Mom, did I ever meet Aunt Jiang when I was little?" "No," Madame Zheng shook her head. "When your Aunt Jiang came from country, you were no longer by my side." Enai Tsuehua had been missing for several months when Madame Zheng's sister and brother-in-law met with their accident. Before that, Dr. Jiang had been abroad. After speaking, Madame Zheng continued, "Tingting, why do you ask?" Enai Tsuehua replied, "Nothing much, it's just that Aunt Jiang looked so familiar, as if I've seen her somewhere before. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong." Madame Zheng nodded, "I see." Enai Yang felt something was amiss and asked, "Grandma, how did you know Grandma Jiang?" Recalling the past, Madame Zheng's face showed her years, and with a sigh, she began to recount that period of time. Upon hearing her, Enai Yang said, "So when Grandma Jiang brought back my grandaunt, we had already been missing for several months?" Madame Zheng said, "More than 3 months. When did great-aunt and great-uncle meet with their accident?" Enai Yang continued to inquire. Madame Zheng thought for a moment and then said, "It was probably the 2nd month after your mother went missing. Back then, communication was not advanced, and neither was transportation, so by the time we received the news, your great-aunt and great-uncle's funerals had already been dealt with." Chapter 875. Zheng Suyu regains consciousness. _3. Grandma Jiang had been living in country before this. Enai Yang followed up with another question. "Yes." Mrs. Zheng nodded and continued, "Back in the day, your great-aunt and Grandma Jiang were as close as real sisters. Later, when your great-aunt passed away, Grandma Jiang, fearing that returning would renew her grief, never went back and stayed in Beijing. So there was no chance for my mom to meet Grandma Jiang," Enai Yang said. Mrs. Zheng continued, "That's why I said perhaps your mom was mistaken. Grandma, where did you and Grandpa work in the beginning?" Enai Yang asked. "In Yicheng," Mrs. Zheng replied. Mentioning that sorrowful place made her feel uncomfortable. Enai Yang frowned slightly. "But my mom grew up in Haicheng, Grandma. Haicheng is over 3,000 kilometers from Yicheng." Haicheng is over 3,000 kilometers from Yicheng. In times with developed transportation, it takes 2 days and nights by train, 9 hours by high-speed rail, and 4 hours by plane. In an era of extremely poor economic conditions and transportation options, how could a 3-year-old girl possibly cross 3,000 kilometers? There was a big problem with this. Mrs. Zheng's eyes reddened slightly. "Actually, when I first saw your mom at the state-run big hotel, I felt she was my daughter, especially little Yunyan. She looked exactly like your mom when she was young. But later, when I asked your mom where she was from, and she said she was from Haicheng, my heart felt half cold." Mrs. Zheng thought the same as Enai Yang at that time. It was impossible for a 3-year-old girl to travel so far. "It wasn't until the DNA result came out that I dared to confirm that your mom was my daughter. Now that I think about it, she might have been abducted by child traffickers to Haicheng." Enai Yang shook her head. At that time, the preference for sons over daughters was at its worst. My mom grew up in the countryside, and my maternal grandfather's family wasn't well off. They wouldn't have spent money to buy a daughter. So the probability of child traffickers is practically zero. In China, the preference for sons over daughters only started to improve after the year 2000. Before that, nearly 2/3 of families preferred sons over daughters. There were rampant cases of abandoning baby girls. Which child trafficker would waste their energy to steal a girl? and then sell her to the countryside? Even traffickers would normally sell to families that were well off and unable to have children. Anai Tsuehua grew up in a rural area with harsh conditions, never even attending school as a child. If you look at the issue from another angle, you would realize that someone wanted to ruin Anai Tsuehua, ensuring she'd never have a chance to succeed in life. Upon hearing this, Anai Tsuehua said, Yang, actually when I was younger, your grandfather's family wasn't that poor. Anai Yang frowned slightly, but in my memory, Grandpa's family was poorer than our old home, with just 2 earthen rooms that leaked whenever it rained. Anai Tsuehua continued, your grandfather's family had quite good conditions until I was 11. Later, he got hooked on opium, and that's when our family's fortune gradually dwindled away. Then why didn't Grandpa send you to school? Anai Yang asked. Anai Tsuehua chuckled bitterly. You know what our place was like, typical preference for sons over daughters. Little girls around my age, including Aunt Danny, none of them went to school. Anai Yang furrowed her brows slightly and then said, Mom, when did you start to remember things? Anai Tsuehua continued, I was particularly slow as a child. I didn't start remembering things until I was 8 or 9 years old. That was a bit strange. Ordinary children start to form memories by the ages of 5 or 6. Children with a bit more talent start remembering things around the ages of 3 or 4. Anai Tsuehua was not slow. If she were, she wouldn't have been able to learn to read so quickly, nor would she have mastered English so swiftly. Meanwhile, Zheng Lingling escorted Dr. Jiang out the door. After making sure no one was around, Zheng Lingling finally spoke. Aunt Jiang, why didn't you treat Aunt Suyu just now? Not feeling reassured about Anai Yang? Dr. Jiang looked up at Zheng Lingling. Yes. Zheng Lingling nodded her head. Dr. Jiang kept a smile on her face while her ears stayed alert to the sounds around her. Anai Yang has excellent medical skills, so don't worry. How can you ask me not to worry? Zheng Lingling was anxious. You know very well. Dr. Jiang interrupted Zheng Lingling before she could finish. You child, how come you only grow older but not wiser? I think even Xianjing has more sense than you. Chapter 876. Zheng Suyu regains consciousness. _4. Zheng Lingling remained silent. The doctor continued. It's a good thing Xianjing isn't like you. Xianjing is very smart. She just tends to be a bit impatient sometimes and needs to temper herself. After saying this, the doctor added, although your mother didn't say anything, I can tell that she has become guarded against me. If I get involved in Suyu's matters, what will happen? Well, you should be very aware of that without me saying anything. The doctor was a clever person, and she could tell Anai Yang was also clever. That young lady, despite her tender age, was by no means naive. Hearing this, Zheng Suyu turned pale. Does my mother not trust even you now? The doctor looked at Zheng Lingling. Lingling, remember this, outsiders will always be outsiders. If it were you, would you believe your own daughter's words, or would you trust an outsider? But you're different, Zheng Lingling interjected. You and she have been close friends for over 30 years, closer even than relatives. How could she treat you like this? The doctor had weathered many storms with her for over 30 years. How could this old hag be so heartless? To even doubt the doctor wasn't angry at all and said with a smile, people are all self-interested. Actually, there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to tell you that I can't intervene in this matter. But Anai Yang said she is 10% sure. 10% sure means there's a glimmer of hope. If you don't step in, then we can only sit and wait for doom. What's the rush? The doctor's face remained benevolent. Lingling, have you ever heard this saying? Zheng Lingling was not in the mood to play guessing games with the doctor and asked bluntly, what saying? The doctor smiled. A tree dies when moved, but a person lives on. What do you mean by that? Zheng Lingling was a bit confused. The doctor looked back at the Zheng family villa and continued. Anai Yang is currently in charge of Suyu's condition. During this time, try to visit the kitchen as little as possible, and if you must go, avoid doing so when medicine is being prepared. Also, if you're going to visit Suyu, it's best to do it with your sister, or accompany your mother. Never leave any backlash that people could talk about. Is it really necessary to make it so complicated? Zheng Lingling felt the doctor was making a mountain out of a molehill. Very necessary, the doctor insisted. The Zheng family of today is not the Zheng family of the past, especially do not underestimate Anai Yang. That young lady might only be 19, but she can handle 10 of you easily. Finally, the doctor added, I never misjudge people. Yet Zheng Lingling didn't feel Anai Yang was impressive at all. She's just been lucky to catch the eye of Mr. Tuesday. It's pretty shameless, really. On one hand, she's all lovey-dovey with that useless Mo Qishan, and on the other, she's flirting with Mr. Tuesday. I don't know what Mr. Tu sees in her. If it weren't for Anai Yang, Xianjing would now be Mr. Tu's lifesaver. That is Anai Yang's skill, the doctor said. In any case, do not underestimate Anai Yang. After thinking a bit more, the doctor continued. I remember there was a time when Xianjing and Mo Qishan were quite close, eh? What about now? Zheng Lingling replied. Don't worry, that's all in the past. Xianjing isn't stupid. How could she waste time on someone like that loser Mo Qishan? That's good, the doctor said, stopping in her tracks. I'll leave you here. Go back quickly. Remember what I said, and don't get too involved in Suyu's affairs. Zheng Lingling was somewhat worried. But if I don't get involved, what if? The doctor said with a smile. Even if something happens, isn't that child still there? Lingling will always find a way to keep her quiet. Right. Zheng Lingling's eyes lit up, and she instantly felt relieved. Take care on your way. The doctor headed towards the intersection, where a young man on a bicycle came to pick her up. Auntie. Jigang is here, the doctor said with a smile. This person was Jiang Jigang, the doctor's nephew, 22 years old. Jiang Jigang was usually lazy and gluttonous, addicted to gambling, and was so desperate for money at times that he would even hit his own parents. But he dared not offend the doctor lightly, because the doctor was not only wealthy, but also backed by the Zheng family. Jiang Jigang then said, My dad sent me to pick you up for dinner at our place. All right, the doctor settled herself on the back seat of the bicycle. Chapter 877. Zheng Suyu regains consciousness. _5. Because Zheng Suyu's condition was very bad. So the next day, Anai Yang began to prepare to use the Ghost Gate 13 needles. Ghost Gate 13 needles involved not only medical problems, but also metaphysical issues. Anai Yang had looked up quite a bit of material during this time, and found that many people had suffered the backlash of the Ghost Gate 13 needles. Only people blessed with continuous fortune could perform the needling. After her resurrection, Anai Yang had once saved 2 people's lives. Before her resurrection, she was also charitable, having supported many orphanages and impoverished regions, using her medical skills to treat many people. She should be considered a person with blessings. Anai Yang prepared all the tools and then said to the elders Zheng at her side, Grandpa, Grandma, I am going to perform acupuncture on Great-Aunt now. Please leave for a while, and during this time, don't let anyone in. The Ghost Gate 13 needles were most taboo against disturbances from outsiders. Elder Zheng nodded his head. Okay, Yang, you do the acupuncture with peace of mind. Your grandma and I will stand guard outside the door, and we won't let anyone come in. It's hard on you and Grandma. It's what we should do. As long as his sister Zheng Suyu could get better, Elder Zheng was willing to do anything. Elder Zheng left with Elder Mrs. Zheng, and in the blink of an eye, only Anai Yang and Zheng Suyu, who was lying in bed, were left in the room. Anai Yang first took out her self-made ointment. The ointment was light yellow, not smelling of medicine but rather of a faint fragrance of flowers. This was an ointment Anai Yang had made from gathering various flowers, along with Solomon's seal and fleeceflower root, specially for Zheng Suyu's illness. According to ancient texts, using this ointment while performing the Ghost Gate 13 needles would produce twice the effect with half the effort. Anai Yang dabbed a bit of ointment with her finger, and then slowly twirled it onto the tip of the needle. A total of 13 gold needles. They corresponded to Rinzhong Acupoint, Shaoshang Acupoint, Yinbai Acupoint, Daling Acupoint, Shenmai Acupoint, Fengfu Acupoint, Jiacha Acupoint, Chengjiang Acupoint, Laogong Acupoint, Shangxing Acupoint, and Huin Acupoint. Under normal circumstances, Only one needle could be used per day, but Zhang Suyu's condition was very bad right now, so Yang had to take the risk of completing all 13 needles in one day. The ancient texts recorded, for illnesses caused by 100 demons running wild, there are 13 acupoints that must be known. Always start with Ghost Palace, then proceed with Ghost Trust, and all will answer. First needle Renzhong, second Xiaoshang. This first needle required extreme caution upon caution. Moreover, the layout of the Ghost Gate 13 needles was different from ordinary acupuncture. The method for the first needle was, diagonally insert the needle from the bottom up, 3 to 5 fen deep. If it exceeded 5 centimeters, the accuracy of the subsequent 12 needles would be for naught, even if they were precisely placed. Yang sat in front of the window, slowly angled the gold needle into the Renzhong acupoint, gently twirling it. The next second, she suddenly let go. The depth of the needle was exactly 5 centimeters. Yang immediately picked up the second gold needle. Then the third needle, the fourth needle. Minutes and seconds passed. The cool breeze wafted through the room. Yet beads of sweat still appeared on Yang's forehead. No wonder the ancient text said that the Ghost Gate 13 needles were extremely sinister, where only one needle could be used per day, and at most not more than 3 needles. Yang had only inserted 6 needles, and already felt that her physical strength was almost at its limit. Yang steadied her spirit, then picked up the 7th needle. The 7th needle was Jiacha acupoint. The needling method was to pierce directly from outside to inside to a depth of 1.5 centimeters. 1.5 centimeters was a bit difficult to judge by the naked eye, especially under Yang's current state of fatigue. Yang squinted her eyes, swiftly and accurately inserted the needle into the Jiacha acupoint. Exactly 1.5 centimeters, not a fraction more or less. For the following 6 needles, Yang did not encounter any problems. During this time, Zheng Lingling came once, saw the door tightly closed, and seeing Elder Zheng and Elder Mrs. Zheng guarding the door with grave faces, she asked, "Dad, Mom, what's going on?" Elder Zheng was not in the mood to talk, his brow deeply furrowed. Elder Mrs. Zheng concisely explained the situation. Zheng Lingling felt panicked inside, wondering if Zheng Suyu was really going to wake up. This couldn't be. She had to get ready. I was originally planning to come and see Aunt Suyu, but since Yang is performing acupuncture on her inside right now, I want to disturb them. With that, Zheng Lingling turned and walked downstairs. After descending the stairs, she secretly called Dr. Jiang. Approximately 3 hours later, the room door opened. A large beam of sunlight shone in from outside the door, dispelling the gloom inside the room, and lighting Yang's pale face almost to transparency. Chapter 878. Zheng Suyu is awake. _6. The 13 ghostly needles had drained her of too much energy. She was too tired now. Seeing Yang like this, the elderly Mrs. Zheng was startled. Yang, are you all right? The elderly Mr. Zheng was also deeply frightened and quickly instructed the servants. Hurry and call the doctor. No need. Yang rubbed her temples. Don't call the doctor, I'm fine. Grandpa, Grandma, you should go in and check on Aunt Suyu. After all, as someone who had been reborn, Yang didn't take this slight fatigue to heart. Has your aunt awakened? Mr. Zheng asked. Yang nodded. Yes. Mr. and Mrs. Zheng, brimming with excitement, hurried into the house. Just then, Zheng Lingling came upstairs from below and upon hearing this, excitedly said, "Has Aunt Suyu awakened? Oh Yang, you are really amazing." Zheng Lingling followed Mr. and Mrs. Zheng into the house. Inside, Zheng Suyu had indeed woken up. She was sitting up in bed, her gaze no longer as empty and lifeless as before but filled with a touch of sadness and sorrow. Mrs. Zheng's eyes instantly turned red. Suyu. You're better now, aren't you? You're back, aren't you? Zheng Suyu looked at the elderly Mrs. Zheng in front of her, first stunned, then perplexed. Old lady, who are you? Mrs. Zheng's eyes widened, unbelievingly staring at Zheng Suyu. Suyu, don't you remember who I am? Zheng Suyu shook her head. And me? Suyu, do you remember who I am? Mr. Zheng leaned in close to Zheng Suyu. Zheng Suyu stared intently at Mr. Zheng, surprised. Brother. You're my brother. Brother. How did you become like this? In her memory, her brother was very handsome. Even in middle age, he was still vibrant. The elderly man in front of her, bent over, his face full of wrinkles, his hair completely white, was vastly different from the brother in her memory. Suyu. Mr. Zheng could no longer restrain himself and embraced Zheng Suyu. Brother, what happened to you? Are you sick? For a moment, Mr. Zheng released Zheng Suyu, his eyes red as he looked at Anai Yang. Yang, what happened to your aunt? Anai Yang continued. During the acupuncture, there was a rejection reaction, causing Aunt Suyu to lose her memories of the past 30 years. So the way she remembers you is still from 30 years ago. Zheng Suyu seemed confused by Anai Yang's words. Brother, who is she? Suyu, this is Tingting's daughter, called Yang, Mr. Zheng said. Tingting. Zheng Suyu thought for a moment. Wasn't Tingting lost? Has she been found again? Seeing his sister truly recover, Mr. Zheng was overwhelmed with emotion. Tears streaming down his face. We found her, Suyu. We have already found Tingting. Zheng Suyu had just woken up, and everything felt cloudy and unclear. Her past was all very vague. Like a dream. Zheng Lingling got closer and said to Zheng Suyu. Aunt Suyu, do you remember me? I'm Lingling. I have a daughter named Xianjing. When she was little, you used to hold her often. Lingling? Lingling. This voice sounded like an incantation. And the scene in front of her began to merge with the scene in her mind. Zheng Suyu's pupils constricted. Suyu, you finally woke up. Do you remember me? I am Jiang Yan. The doctor entered from outside. Zheng Lingling, Jiang Yan. Tears welled up in Zheng Suyu's eyes in that instant. She remembered. She remembered everything. At that moment, Dr. Jiang hugged Zheng Suyu tightly and choked out. Suyu, you finally woke up. Finally woke up. That's wonderful. I knew Yang would definitely find a way to cure you. Zheng Suyu's entire body trembled, as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. Just as Zheng Suyu was about to push Dr. Jiang away, Dr. Jiang held her tightly, his gaze gradually turning cold, and in a very low voice said, Do you remember that poor child? Poor child? What child? Anai Yang subtly moved her ear, and clearly caught this phrase. She knew something was not right with Dr. Jiang. It seemed that the matter would have to start with this child. She must not spook anyone for now. Anai Yang narrowed her eyes, a sharp gleam reflecting in them. Normally, such a quiet voice would be inaudible to ordinary people, but Anai Yang was no ordinary person. Ever since her rebirth and saving lives, her senses had been several times more acute than those of an average person. After hearing this, Zheng Suyu's tightly clenched fist gradually relaxed. Her blood seemed to flow backward. She bit her teeth tightly, almost unable to control herself, and muttered with her head down. I don't remember, I've forgotten you. Dr. Jiang's eyes reddened. How can you just forget like that? Suyu, I am Jiang Yan, you used to call me Xiaoyan. I don't remember. Zheng Suyu pulled the blanket around her and shrank back. Suyu, take a good look at me. Aunt Suyu patted Dr. Jiang on the shoulder. Suyu has even forgotten me. It's normal for her to forget you too. As long as she is all right, that's all that matters. Dr. Jiang wiped away his tears, looking at Zheng Suyu. Aching is right. As long as she is all right, that's what matters. We can think about the rest slowly. I believe one day you will remember me. Next, Aunt Suyu introduced Anai Yang and Zheng Lingling to Zheng Suyu, and mentioned the events that had happened over the years in the Zheng family. Suyu, Tingting and her husband Dehui have gone to her husband's family. I have already sent someone to notify them. They will come back tonight. Zheng Suyu nodded. I would like to rest now, you all should leave. Dr. Jiang said with concern. Suyu, then rest well, I will come see you tomorrow. Aunt Suyu sighed somewhat worriedly said. Suyu, then we will leave first, but if you need anything or remember anything, make sure to call us. Zheng Suyu said nothing more, lay down and covered her head with the blanket. It seemed like she was avoiding something. After everyone left, Zheng Suyu hid under the blankets, and soon, low sobs could be heard from within the blanket. Constrained and oppressive. Downstairs, Dr. Jiang greeted Aunt Suyu with a smile. Aching, I always said your granddaughter is smart. I treated Suyu for so many years without results. But as soon as Yang stepped in, Suyu woke up. Aunt Suyu too smiled broadly, Her daughter was found, and Zhang Suyu had awoken. She had no regrets left in this life. Chapter 879. Cunning Yang Grandma Zhang said with a smile. This child is indeed clever, certainly smarter than this old lady. It's our family's good fortune from the past life to have such a wonderful granddaughter. Zhang Lingling looked at Enai Yang, her features nearly contorting with jealousy and anger. Enai Yang had become a treasure, while Zhang Xianjing was now mere grass. Who in the vast Zhang family even remembered Zhang Xianjing now? Before Enai Yang's arrival, Zhang Xianjing was the only granddaughter of the Zhang family, a master in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, and a famous socialite within their circles. After the last birthday banquet, however, Zhang Xianjing had become a laughingstock. It was Enai Yang who had stolen everything from Zhang Xianjing. Had it not been for Enai Yang, Zhang Xianjing would still be the sole heir to the Zhang family. Now, Zhang Lingling wished she could just strangle Enai Yang. Dr. Jiang was right. The most difficult person to deal with in the Zhang family was Enai Yang. Enai Yang, seeming young, actually had a high level of cunning, more difficult to deal with than 100 Enai Quihuas. Without Enai Yang, Enai Tsuehua wouldn't even be able to stand a chance against the Zhang family. Enai Yang felt a bit dizzy and stood up, saying, Grandpa, Grandma, I'm feeling a bit lightheaded. I'll go upstairs to rest for a while. Old Master Zhang hurriedly stood up, saying, Of course, go ahead, and we'll call you when it's time to eat. Enai Yang nodded and walked upstairs. The 13 ghost needles were very draining, and Enai Yang almost fell asleep as soon as she lay down on the bed. Dr. Jiang didn't stay long at the Zhang families either, chatted with Grandma Zhang for a while, and then left. Just as Dr. Jiang got home, Zhang Lingling and Sun Wu showed up right on her heels. Now that Zhang Suyu had awoken, Zhang Lingling was of course anxious. And she wasn't the only anxious one. Sun Wu was too. Sun Wu had lived more than 20 years of good life. And if Zhang Suyu spilled everything, without the big tree of the Zhang family to lean on, what would become of him? Would he have to go back to facing the cold winds of the northwest? Dr. Jiang looked at Zhang Lingling, slightly surprised. Why are you here? Zhang Lingling placed her bag on the coffee table. Aunt Jiang, as you've seen, Aunt Suyu's condition is worrying. What do we do now? We can't just sit around and wait for death, can we? Dr. Jiang poured Zhang Lingling a glass of water. We've gotten through many years, what's the rush? Where did Zhang Lingling have the mind to drink water now? Holding the cup, she said, Aunt Jiang, I think Aunt Suyu seems to have realized something. If this continues, and she recalls everything one day, we're all finished. The more Zhang Lingling thought about it, the more panicked she became, her face turning pale with fear. You're not wrong, Dr. Jiang nodded. Zhang Suyu has indeed recovered all her memories. Even Dr. Jiang hadn't expected Enai Yang's medical skills to be so proficient, enough even to cure Zhang Suyu's hysteria. From the beginning, she hadn't underestimated Enai Yang, only to find she had still underestimated her in the end. Enai Yang was even more formidable than she had imagined. Crash! The cup in Zhang Lingling's hand fell directly to the ground, shattering into pieces. Suyu, Aunt Suyu really remembered everything? Really? Before Dr. Jiang could finish her sentence, Sun Wu sprang up from the sofa. It's over. We're done for. We need to flee right now. Is that really all the backbone you have? Dr. Jiang looked at Sun Wu, speaking sternly. Running away is the most cowardly solution. After all these years of hard work at the Zhang family, do you really want to end up as street rats that everyone wants to bash? With that said, Dr. Jiang turned to look at Zhang Lingling. And you, Lingling, you've been with the Zhang family for 35 years, and Xianjing is already 21. How can you still be like before, making no progress at all? Losing your head over a little trouble? With this attitude of yours, how do you expect to push out Enai Yang and become the matriarch of the Zhang family? Dr. Jiang was smiling as she said this, but Zhang Lingling saw no warmth in that smile. Zhang Lingling opened her mouth, then continued. So what should I do? Zhang Suyu had already awakened, and those dark secrets would inevitably surface one day. For Zhang Lingling, the current Zhang Suyu was like a time bomb, capable of detonation at any moment. She wasn't Dr. Jiang, she didn't have such a strong heart. Don't worry. Dr. Jiang took a syringe out of the medicine box. squeezing out the excess air inside. Zheng Siyu won't dare to speak carelessly. Seeing Dr. Jiang like this, a sudden thought seemed to strike Zheng Lingling. Right, there's also that child. As she spoke, she continued. But what about An Yang? An Yang is so clever, she will definitely notice something. Chapter 880. Cunning Yang_2. Dr. Jiang laughed, then plunged the cold syringe directly into his own arm, slowly pushing the plunger as the transparent liquid seeped into his vein. Then let's make her the second Zheng Siyu. The second Zheng Siyu? Sun Wu's eyes lit up. That's a good idea. It saves me from having to look at their family of 4, which I find so unpleasant. Before Shangguan Dehui arrived, Sun Wu was the only son-in-law of Master Zheng and Madame Zheng. Now, with Shangguan Dehui around, who was capable and ambitious, Sun Wu distinctly felt a change in Master Shangguan and Madame Shangguan's attitude towards him. Zheng Lingling frowned. It's easier said than done. An Yang is not Zheng Siyu, someone we can easily manipulate. Dr. Jiang opened his eyes. You think Zheng Siyu was a pushover? Before this, Zheng Siyu was known throughout Beijing as the talented woman of Beijing. Back in the day, Zheng Siyu enjoyed limitless prestige. And in the end, she still ended up as the crazy old woman that everyone despised. The difference between a talented woman and a mad woman is but a single thought. So what do you plan to do? Zheng Lingling looked at Dr. Jiang. Let the most harmless person in the Zheng family do it, Dr. Jiang said. Zheng Lingling narrowed her eyes. Are you referring to Aunt Siyu? Dr. Jiang laughed outright. Lingling, you've finally caught on for once. Will she listen to you? Zheng Lingling countered. Dr. Jiang said. I can't frequent the Zheng household, so you need to handle this. Strike the snake at its weakest spot, and now Zheng Siyu's weakest spot is that child. Sun Wu said. But that child isn't. Shut up. Dr. Jiang directly interrupted Sun Wu, before he could finish. Sun Wu quickly shut his mouth. Zheng Lingling nodded. I think I know what to do. Here, take this. Dr. Jiang handed Zheng Lingling a white glass bottle. Before Zheng Lingling could speak, Dr. Jiang continued. This liquid is colorless and tasteless. Give it to Zheng Siyu. I believe she will find a way to make An Yang drink it. Okay. Zheng Lingling reached out and took the glass bottle. Dr. Jiang added. An Yang is a doctor herself and much more sensitive to medications than most people. Tell Zheng Siyu to make An Yang drink it in 3 separate doses. Zheng Lingling nodded and then said. Zheng Siyu recovered from a severe illness before. What if this medicine has no effect on An Yang? Dr. Jiang looked at Zheng Lingling and countered. Lingling, do you know who the safest person in this world is? Zheng Lingling paused, not catching on. Dr. Jiang continued. The dead are the safest in this world. Realizing the deeper meaning in Dr. Jiang's words, Zheng Lingling's face turned pale with fright. Do we really have to do this? Although Zheng Lingling also wished for An Yang to die, she was more afraid of going to jail. The consequences would be unimaginable if this were to be discovered. This was also why she had never truly acted against the old Zheng couple. Patting Zheng Lingling's shoulder, Dr. Jiang reassured. To prevent an accident like what happened to Zheng Siyu, we have no choice but to do this. Lingling, don't let being too kind become your greatest weakness. If you had been decisive earlier, instead of being indecisive, things wouldn't have ended up like this. Now you only have 2 choices. Either An Yang dies or your whole family perishes. Zheng Lingling was ashen. Sun Wu, usually a docile man, was not afraid at all. Aunt Jiang is right. Lingling, you have always been too indecisive. If we had taken care of those 2 old folks back then, where would An Yang, that little wench, get the chance to cause trouble? Zheng Lingling's legs trembled. This way we will end up in jail. Seeing Zheng Lingling's hesitant demeanor, Dr. Jiang became somewhat irritated. Dr. Jiang snatched the glass bottle from Zheng Lingling's hand. If you are too scared, then let's forget about this. After all, you are not a blood relative of the Zheng family. Let the Zheng fortune go to Zheng Tingting and An Yang. Sun Wu quickly interjected. Aunt Jiang, please don't be angry. Lingling is just confused momentarily. Zheng Lingling stood there stunned. With Sun Wu's persuasion, Dr. Jiang's expression finally softened a bit, and then he said, with Zhang Suyu taking the heat up front, what are you afraid of? Following Dr. Jiang's lead, Sun Wu said, Lingling, Aunt Jiang is right. Even if things are exposed later, there's still that crazy woman Zhang Suyu. What are you scared of? It's not you who is poisoning Anai Yang. Chapter 881. Cunning Yang Yang _3. If. There are no ifs. Dr. Jiang impatiently interrupted Zhang Lingling's words. Lingling, do you think you'll be safe if you don't do this? Have you forgotten what you've done before? If Anai Yang finds out about those things, wouldn't even one of them be enough to put you behind bars? Zhang Lingling was stunned again. Dr. Jiang sighed deeply, speaking earnestly. Lingling, it hasn't been easy for us to get to this point. I don't want you to give up the glory and wealth before your eyes so easily, letting it fall into someone else's hands. The hardships of over 30 years of wind and rain, only those who've experienced it could truly understand. Sun Wu quickly said, even for Xianjing's sake, we have to fight. Xianjing is used to living as a wealthy lady. Going from luxury to frugality is hard. If she loses the Zheng family, how will she live in the future? Are you willing to let Anai Yang take away everything that belongs to Xianjing? Unwilling. How could Zheng Lingling be willing to let Anai Yang take away what belonged to Zheng Xianjing? Aunt Jiang. Zheng Lingling looked up at Dr. Jiang. I'll listen to you. Dr. Jiang nodded in satisfaction. I'm old, wealth and power are fleeting to me. I'm doing all this for your family of 3, Lingling. While we still have a hold over Zhang Suyu's Achilles heel, you must seize this opportunity. Understood. I appreciate all your hard work. Zheng Lingling nodded. Meanwhile, Anai Yang had been asleep for over 2 hours, and by the time she woke up, it had already grown dark outside the window. After sleeping, Anai Yang felt much better. She washed her face in the restroom and changed into clean clothes. As Anai Yang was about to head downstairs, there was a knock at the door. Yang Yang. It was Anai Kuihua's voice. Anai Yang went to open the door. Mom, when did you come back? Anai Tsuehua was holding a tray with slices of bread and milk. I've been home for a while. Dinner won't be for a bit. Have some bread to tide you over. Anai Yang picked up the bread and milk, then asked, Did you visit Grandma? I did, Anai Tsuehua nodded. Grandma doesn't seem to be doing very well. Anai Yang frowned subtly. Is Zheng Lingling home? You child, how can you call her by name like that? Anai Tsuehua continued. It would sound so bad if others heard it. While Zheng Lingling was indeed acting duplicitously, she hadn't openly made things difficult for Anai Yang. In the eyes of others, she was still a good aunt. If someone overheard Anai Yang calling Zheng Lingling by name, they might misjudge her as an ingrate. Anai Yang knew Anai Kuihua's concerns and said with a smile, Don't worry, I was just saying it behind her back, no one will hear. When I got back, I didn't see her. Not just her, Sun Wu wasn't home either. Zhang Suyu had just woken up the second before, and this couple had disappeared right afterward. It was almost impossible not to suspect something. Where did they go? Anai Yang took a sip of milk. I don't know. Anai Tsuehua shook her head. Mom, have you noticed anything strange about Zheng Lingling and Dr. Jiang? Anai Yang continued. What do you mean? Anai Tsuehua asked. Just very strange. Anai Yang finished her last sip of milk, then said, Mom, let's go visit Grandma. Okay. Anai Tsuehua nodded. The mother and daughter left the room and headed toward Zheng Suyu's room. Anai Tsuehua reached out to knock on the door. Aunt Suyu, it's Ting Ting, may I come in? I'm very tired, let's talk about it tomorrow. Zheng Suyu's voice came from inside. Anai Tsuehua looked up at Anai Yang. Anai Yang shook her head. Let's leave it for now. It was too soon to rush things with Zheng Suyu just waking up. The mother and daughter headed downstairs. As they descended, they saw Zheng Lingling and Sun Wu returning home with Zheng Xianjing. Seeing Zheng Xianjing, old lady Zheng exclaimed in surprise. Xianjing, weren't you supposed to have classes today? Why have you come back now? I was fetched by my mom and dad, said Zheng Xianjing. I heard Grandma woke up, is it true? This explained why Zheng Lingling and Sun Wu had vanished as soon as Zheng Suyu woke up. Anai Yang's lips curled subtly. This couple still had some brains. No wonder there's a saying in detective studies. Those who seem the most normal are often the most abnormal. Chapter 882. Cunning Yang_4. From an outsider's perspective, this family of three had nothing remarkable about them. The husband was honest and unassuming, almost without presence. The wife was adept in socializing and took great care of the elderly. Their daughter was bright and generous, an outstanding student at a well-known university. What could possibly be wrong with such a family? Mrs. Zheng nodded and said with a smile, "It's true." Xianjing said excitedly, "That's wonderful. I'm going to go up and see Great-Aunt right now." Having said that, Xianjing rushed upstairs without delay. Not long after, Xianjing came back downcast. Great-Aunt said she's very tired and wants to rest some more. Mrs. Zheng smiled and said, "As long as you have this filial heart, it will be the same if you visit your great-aunt tomorrow." Xianjing nodded. At mealtime, Suyu didn't come down. Mrs. Zheng instructed a servant to take the food up to Suyu, and Yang stood up and said, "I'll go." With that, she took the platter from the servant's hand and headed upstairs. Upon reaching Suyu's door, Yang knocked. After a while, Suyu's voice came from inside. "Who is it?" Yang said, "Great-Aunt, I've brought you something to eat. I'm coming in." Yang turned the doorknob and entered. Suyu wasn't lying in bed but was sitting at the dressing table. Reflected in the vanity mirror was a face worn with the marks of time. "Great-Aunt, it's time to eat." Yang set the dishes on the table. "Grandma says these are all your old favorites. Please come and see if they suit your taste." Suyu turned and walked over. "You're Tingting's child, Yang? MHM." Yang nodded. "Yes, it's me." Suyu smiled, her eyes inscrutable with either sorrow or joy. "When I was still lucid, Tingting was just a child. In the blink of an eye, her child is all grown up. It's like a dream." Yang spoke softly. "Malarial vapors rise like fire, and time speeds like a carriage. Decades pass in a flash, and seen from another perspective, life is but a dream." Suyu gave her an astonished look. Yang, I heard it was you who cured me." Yang didn't deny it but simply nodded. "Thank you," Suyu said, then added, "Have a seat yourself." Yang sat down on the stool. "Great-Aunt, there have been many changes outside over the years. How about I take you out for a walk tomorrow?" Suyu shook her head. "No need." "Are you avoiding something?" Yang asked bluntly. Suyu's hand holding the chopsticks paused. "After raving mad for so many years, what could I possibly be avoiding? I just don't want to go out, that's all." "Like that child," Yang said in a measured tone. Suyu abruptly put down her chopsticks, her eyes reddening as she said, "What are you talking about?" Yang looked at Suyu. "Great-Aunt, rest assured, I'm not colluding with Dr. Jiang. I'm here to help you. Please tell me, what exactly happened 30 years ago?" From the current situation, it was clear that Suyu was the only one who knew the truth. "I don't know what you're talking about." Suyu picked up her chopsticks again and continued to mechanically feed herself. Yang continued, "Great-Aunt, is the state you're in now the work of Dr. Jiang and Zheng Lingling? My grandma has been good to them already. Why would they do this?" Suyu didn't respond to Yang's words. "If you don't answer, I will take it as your agreement," Yang pressed on. "Who is that child? Just give me a little clue, and I'm sure I can uncover the whole truth." Suyu remained silent, like a machine devoid of emotion, just eating. Yang frowned slightly and decided to use a different tactic. Judging by Suyu's reactions, what she cared about most was that child. Staying silent won't solve anything and might even harm that child. Don't tell me you're willing to watch that child meet with misfortune. From what I understand, neither Zheng Lingling nor Dr. Jiang is known for their compassion. Just then, Suyu hurriedly finished the rice in her bowl, looked up at Yang, and said, "I don't understand what you're saying." "What child? I don't know anything. I need to rest now. Please leave." "Great-Aunt, are you sure you don't want to say anything? I know that you're starting to recover your memories." "There's nothing to say." Suyu pushed Yang towards the door. "I don't understand anything you're saying." Chapter 883. Cunning Yang Yang _5. You're gambling with that child's life. And I Yang continued. People like Dr. Jiang and Zheng Lingling, they have no credibility. Zheng Suyu pushed Anai Yang outside and with a thud closed the door. Anai Yang didn't say anything more, fearing that the noise here might attract the attention of Zheng Lingling downstairs. Zheng Suyu was far more stubborn than she had imagined. Inside the room, Zheng Suyu leaned against the door and began to weep. In the evening, Anai Yang knocked on old Madame Zheng's door. Yang Yang. Old Madame Zheng looked at Anai Yang with some surprise. Anai Yang smiled and said, I've come to bring you and Grandpa some nourishing tea. Old Madame Zheng said, Come in, come in. Your grandpa isn't in the room. Where did Grandpa go? Anai Yang asked. Old Madame Zheng casually closed the door. He went to talk with your great-aunt, to see if she can remember anything. Anai Yang set the tray down on the table and then said, Grandma, I came over to talk to you about great-aunt's situation. Hearing this, old Madame Zheng became very anxious. What's wrong? Is there something the matter with your great-aunt? Anai Yang shook her head. No, don't worry. That's good. Old Madame Zheng sighed in relief. The granddaughter and grandmother sat down on the sofa. Old Madame Zheng took a sip of the nourishing tea and smiled. This tea is good, very refreshing and without a medicinal taste, which I hate the most in teas. Upon finishing, old Madame Zheng continued. Yang Yang, you just mentioned something about your great-aunt? Anai Yang followed up. Great-aunt has regained her memory. Old Madame Zheng straightened up in shock. Really? Anai Yang nodded. She's just afraid to admit it. Old Madame Zheng found this somewhat confusing. Why wouldn't she admit it? Because there's someone in the family threatening her, Anai Yang said. Old Madame Zheng frowned slightly. Someone in the family threatening her? Who would threaten your great-aunt? Anai Yang didn't hide it and directly said, I suspect it has to do with Dr. Jiang and Auntie. Dr. Jiang? Zheng Lingling? Old Madame Zheng was stunned for a moment. These two people, one had been her close friend for over 30 years, and the other was the daughter she had raised for over 30 years. Yang Yang, how can you say that? Anai Yang explained the situation with the child to old Madame Zheng. Grandma, I heard it very clearly at the time. It was Dr. Jiang threatening great-aunt, which is why she's afraid to admit she has regained her memory. Child. Old Madame Zheng's brows furrowed deeply. Yang Yang, is it possible you heard wrong? Your great-aunt is still unmarried. How could she have a child? And, why would Dr. Jiang threaten your great-aunt? What would their motive be for such actions? For a moment, old Madame Zheng struggled to believe Anai Yang's words. In her view, Zheng Lingling and Dr. Jiang had no motive to do such things. Perhaps Anai Yang had misunderstood. Anai Yang said, Because great-aunt knows some unspeakable secrets. Grandma, do you still remember when you and Grandpa were poisoned before? Old Madame Zheng understood the implication of Anai Yang's words, but as you said, it could have also been caused by a reaction between food and medication. She couldn't believe that Zheng Lingling would poison her. Impossible. Zheng Lingling couldn't be that heartless. Over 30 years of mother-daughter affection wasn't fake. In this world, no mother would suspect her own daughter, even if that daughter wasn't her biological child. Grandma, I know you're a very kind person, but your kindness doesn't mean everyone is as kind as you. Anai Yang continued. Some people must be guarded against. Don't you find it strange how you and Grandpa fell ill before? Dr. Jiang is a doctor. It would be too easy for her to do something without making a sound. Old Madame Zheng sighed and followed up. Yang Yang, I know your aunt can be a bit selfish sometimes, but her nature isn't bad. She's just a bit greedy. She's just covetous of the Zheng family's wealth. Actually, when I suspected that your mother was Ting Ting, I had 2 paternity tests done, and one of them was swapped by your aunt. Although old Madame Zheng hadn't spelled it out, she was well aware. At this moment, old Madame Zheng never imagined that the daughter she viewed as only slightly greedy was the one who would plunge the Zheng family into irrecoverable ruin. Chapter 884. Cunning Yang Yang _6. People die for money, birds die for food. Your aunt feared the Zheng family's estate would all be taken by your mother. I understood this, so I prepared my will early, splitting the Zheng family's estate evenly between your aunt and your mom. Though your aunt is not my biological child, I have never treated her differently. And Young looked up at Grandma Zheng. Grandma, you are a good mother, but she might not be a good daughter. With that, and Young continued, I even suspect that Aunt Suyu's hysteria might be related to them as well. Having said this much, and Young didn't want to keep hiding things from Grandma Zheng. Lest when the truth emerged, Grandma Zheng couldn't accept the reality. That won't be the case, Grandma Zheng shook her head. Yang, you're not a detective, you must be mistaken. Grandma, how about we make a bet? And Yang proposed. A bet on what? Grandma Zheng asked. On whether Dr. Jiang and Aunt Suyu are the masterminds behind this. And Yang said every word very seriously. Grandma Zheng smiled. Yang, you're really overthinking. I can vouch for my integrity that Dr. Jiang and your aunt aren't those kinds of people. And Yang slightly curled her lips. Grandma, the day when everything becomes clear hasn't come yet. It's too early to say that now. Grandma Zheng looked at Yang. Yang, do you know how many years I've known Dr. Jiang? 35 years. Ever since she came back to Beijing across the Pacific Ocean with your aunt, I knew Dr. Jiang is a good person. And your aunt, I raised her myself. I know very well what kind of person she is. She could never do something so utterly heartless. For a full 35 years, Grandma Zheng couldn't believe that human nature could be so malicious. Nor could she believe that she had two wolves in sheep's clothing by her side. With that, Grandma Zheng continued. Yang, as you said, Dr. Jiang is a doctor. If she wanted to do something, it would be so easy. If she and Lingling truly wanted to harm me, your grandfather and I wouldn't be alive today. And Yang knew that no amount of talking would be useful at this time. Only when ironclad evidence was presented would Grandma Zheng believe it. Grandma, it's getting late, you should rest early, and Yang said. I didn't mean anything else by telling you this, just wanted you to be cautious around Dr. Jiang and Aunt Suyu. And also my aunt's husband, who seems straightforward and honest, yet he has an unknown side to him that people don't see. Otherwise, Sun Wu wouldn't have had such a good marital relationship with Zheng Lingling after so many years. All right, I've got it. Grandma Zheng nodded. Yang, I'll take your words to heart. Despite her precautions, Grandma Zheng still couldn't believe that Zheng Lingling and Dr. Jiang were capable of such deeds. Then I'm going to rest now. Aha! Grandma Zheng escorted Yang to the door. In the deep silence of the night, barely perceptible footsteps echoed through the hallway. Then, a shadow darted into Aunt Suyu's room. Who's there? Hearing noise, Aunt Suyu turned on the bedside lamp and sat up in bed, looking around warily. Aunt Suyu, it's me. Zheng Lingling approached from the side. Seeing who it was, Aunt Suyu shrank back into her bed. Zheng Lingling curled her lips upwards. It seems Aunt Jiang was right, you remembered. No, I haven't. Aunt Suyu shook her head. Zheng Lingling placed the glass bottle on the bedside table. If you want that child to be safe, you'll just have to obey. Let her go. Aunt Suyu looked up at Zheng Lingling. You'll suffer divine retribution for doing this, Zheng Lingling said with a smile. It seems you're unwilling to cooperate? Zheng Suyu suddenly fell silent. Zheng Lingling continued. Divide this into 3 doses and make Yang drink it. You still want to harm Yang? Zheng Suyu looked incredulously at Zheng Lingling. Zheng Lingling said. Aunt Suyu, rest assured, this is not poison. Yang will not be in mortal danger. If you're unwilling to cooperate, that poor child might not survive. Please don't do this, can't you not do this? Zheng Suyu knelt on the bed, constantly kowtowing to Zheng Lingling. Let her go. That child is too pitiful. I'm begging you. The doctor was right. What did being a talented woman of Beijing count for? She still ended up kneeling, fiercely trampled underfoot. And Yang's future would only be more miserable than Zheng Suyu's. Zheng Lingling stepped back and said, Aunt Suyu, you were once known as a talented woman in Beijing. I really can't accept such a grand gesture from you. With that, Zheng Lingling picked up the glass bottle from the table. Since you're unwilling to cooperate, I won't force you. After all, a twisted melon is not sweet. After speaking, Zheng Lingling turned and walked towards the door. She was gambling. Gambling on whether Zheng Suyu would let the child go. Wait. Zheng Suyu suddenly ran down from the bed and grabbed Zheng Lingling's sleeve. Zheng Lingling turned to look at Zheng Suyu. Aunt Suyu, do you have something else to say? I agree. Zheng Suyu stammered. I agree. I'll agree to anything. Zheng Lingling bent down to help Zheng Suyu up. Aunt Suyu, a wise man submits to circumstances. You should have agreed earlier. Don't worry, the child is living well now, no one will trouble her. Having dealt with Zheng Suyu, Zheng Lingling felt very refreshed, even still smiling as she left Zheng Suyu's room. When she reached the staircase, Zheng Lingling encountered an Yang. Yang, what are you doing downstairs so late? Zheng Lingling narrowed her eyes. Knowing an Yang was not as simple as she seemed, Zheng Lingling now dared not underestimate her. An Yang's face was full of harmless smiles, highlighted by slight dimples. I went downstairs to get some water. Dinner was too salty tonight, Auntie. Are you also going downstairs for water? Zheng Lingling nodded. Yes, I'm also going downstairs for water. It's getting late, you should rest after you drink. An Yang turned and glanced at Zheng Lingling's back, the curve of her lips becoming more pronounced. It seemed, Zheng Lingling was not as smart as she thought. But that doctor, who knew how many times craftier he was than Zheng Lingling. Now the urgent task was to find that child quickly. Thankfully An Yang and Xiaozhou from the detective agency were particularly familiar. Otherwise this matter could really be tricky. As soon as Zheng Lingling returned to her room, Sun Wu asked impatiently, How did it go, Lingling? Is everything settled? Chapter 885. Those unknown past events. Zheng Lingling nodded. When did I ever fail to handle something properly? Sun Wu's suspended heart finally settled. That's good. With An Yang dead, nobody else could pose a threat. An Cuehua wasn't even 1/10 as capable as An Yang. In time, the Zheng family would still belong to the three of them. Sitting at her dressing table and starting to apply cream to her face, Zheng Lingling expressed her concern. Do you think An Yang will find out about this? Sun Wu replied. No way. Didn't Aunt Jiang say that stuff is colorless and odorless? An Yang is no deity. How could she possibly discover it? On the other side, Zheng Suyu sat on the bed sobbing silently. She held the glass bottle tightly in her hand, her knuckles already turning white. She didn't know what to do. Would she really have to go through with poisoning An Yang? The next day, An Yang made a trip to the detective agency. Xiaozhou and An Yang were old friends by now. Seeing An Yang arrive, Xiaozhou pulled her over and said, Yang, come quick and see what's wrong with my phonograph. Why has it stopped working again? Ever since An Yang had fixed Zayaza's phonograph the last time, she had become an omnipotent figure in Zayaza's eyes. An Yang took the black record, fitted it onto the phonograph, bent down and fiddled with it for a while, and then a sweet and pleasant voice poured out from the machine. How sweet, your smile so very sweet, as if flowers blooming in the spring breeze. This song was sung by Ms. Deng, popular not just in that era, but in future generations as well. Hearing this song, An Yang inexplicably cheered up and began to hum along. Xiaozhou said excitedly, Yang, you're really incredible. You got it to work. An Yang clapped her hands, her face full of smug pride. Otherwise, why would everyone on the street call me Brother Yang? Brother Yang. Xiaozhou clicked his tongue and laughed. I must say, the nickname suits you well. I'm going to start calling you Brother Yang. Xiaozhou liked An Yang a lot, but not in a romantic way. He and An Yang were like brothers. An Yang often gave him a sense of being an elder. Also, An Yang was straightforward and didn't put on airs. Being with her, there was no need to worry about being plotted against, nor any backstabbing. She was quite different from other women. Smiling, An Yang said, I've come here because I need your help with something. Xiaozhou changed the record. I knew it. Brother Yang never comes without a reason. Out with it. What do you need this time? An Yang said, I'd like you to help me look into my great-aunt. Xiaozhou was startled, taking a moment to process. Your great-aunt, who's that? As he spoke, it seemed like he remembered something and then said, I recall your mother is the daughter from the Zheng family who went missing for many years, right? So by that account, your great-aunt would be the celebrated Beijing beauty from 30 years ago? Zheng Suyu had made a strong impression in Beijing back in the day. Even now, quite a few people still remembered Zheng Suyu. Right, and Aiyang nodded. My great-aunt is Zheng Suyu. Xiaozhou said. Your great-aunt used to be a great talent. My dad was particularly fond of her. So, what about your great-aunt do you want to look into? And Aiyang said. I want you to help me investigate my great-aunt's past. I want to know what exactly she went through these past 30 years. Upon hearing this, Xiaozhou continued. I've heard that your great-aunt's mental health hasn't been very good for some years, right? Zheng Suyu was indeed a person of influence before, so the Zheng family concealed her mental health issues, claiming she had gone abroad. Thus, aside from those close to the Zheng family, not many people knew of Zheng Suyu's recent state. And Aiyang didn't conceal the truth. There were indeed some issues before, but she's all right now. It's truly a case of envy of the talented. Your great-aunt used to be a legendary figure, Xiaozhou observed. Then he continued. By the way, Yang, why are you looking into your great-aunt? And Aiyang trusted Xiaoza's character, and started to tell him about the affairs of the Zheng family. Moreover, since Xiaozhou was a detective, the clearer he was about certain matters, the better positioned he would be to investigate. After listening, Xiaozhou shook his head in amazement. Good Lord! Your family's situation is way too complicated. I think you'd better get out of that house as soon as possible. And Aiyang sighed. It's simple for me to leave, but what about my grandparents? You've got a point, Xiaozhou slapped his chest. Yang, leave this matter to me. I guarantee I'll investigate it thoroughly for you. Chapter 886. Those unknown past events. Understood. I trust you. And Aiyang took out 2 stacks of cash from his bag. What are you doing? Xiaozhou said. Down payment. And Aiyang slightly raised his eyebrows. I can't have you working for nothing. Even brothers settle accounts clearly, and Aiyang, although having a good relationship with Xiaozhou, never thought of taking advantage of him. Xiaozhou chuckled. You're reminding me of the first time we met. Back then, when he first met Aiyang, his initial impression of her was of a very gentle beauty, but when it came to paying, she was as straightforward as a man. She paid the 300 yuan deposit without even frowning. Until now, Aiyang was still very generous. At that time, Xiaozhou could never have imagined that one day he would become good brothers with Aiyang. Aiyang looked up and thought for a moment. Thinking about it, we've known each other for over 2 years, right? Xiaozhou nodded and sighed. Time really flies. More than 2 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Yes, Aiyang also seemed somewhat nostalgic. Time goes by too quickly. Xiaozhou then asked, when do you plan on tying the knot with my brother? At first, Xiaozhou wasn't optimistic about Aiyang's relationship with Mo Qixin. Unexpectedly, over the past 2 years, instead of fading, their affection had grown even stronger. Aiyang said, we'll get it when it naturally happens, no rush for now. My brother will turn 30 after the new year. Xiaozhou was anxious for Mo Qixin. They're classmates from the same year. Many of them had already married and had children. It's like you're not considering me as your brother. Aiyang patted Xiaoza's shoulder. Don't worry, your brother and I isn't the kind of person who abandons a relationship. Xiaozhou scratched his head. But, Aiyang looked at Xiaozhou, no buts. I remember you're classmates with Mo Qixin, right? Instead of worrying about him, you should worry about yourself. Look at you, still single and without even a girlfriend. And you have the nerve to compare with Mo Qixin? Xiaozhou. That hit a nerve. The melody of Little Town Story wafted through the air, and Aiyang continued. Where did you buy this old-school phonograph? The sound quality is pretty good. From the second-hand market, Xiaozhou said. If you like, I can keep an eye out for you. Sounds good, Aiyang nodded. These old record players are perfect for listening to operas. The times were changing, and what people currently revered were radios and televisions, and factories had long since stopped producing these old record players. It was hard to even find a place to buy them. Listening to operas? Which ones? Xiaozhou furrowed his brows slightly. Aiyang started counting on her fingers. Peking Opera, Yu Opera, Kunku Opera, and the Huangmei Opera from Huizhou, whatever you like. Xiaozhou said speechlessly. Who listens to operas these days? You're living like my mom. The 1980s was a decade where television shows and movies soared in popularity. Only the older generation enjoyed the yaya of traditional opera. And Young said with a smile, "Different people have different hobbies. By the way, remember to take care of that matter for me. I have to go now." "No problem." Xiaozhou saw Young out to the door. "When do you think you'll have it figured out?" And Young continued to ask. Xiaozhou thought for a moment and then continued. "As long as it happened in Suzhou City, there's nothing I can't find out. I should have some results in about 2 or 3 days. It's just that the overseas stuff is a bit troublesome." And Young nodded. "Okay, I got it. Goodbye." Seeing Young still riding that old bicycle, Xiaozhou said, "You've made quite a bit of money. Why are you still riding this beat-up old bike?" "What beat-up old bike?" Young said. "I bought this bike just 2 years ago. It's still new, okay?" Young took good care of things. Her bicycle was almost as good as new. Xiaozhou continued. "I think only a small car is worthy of your status." Others might not know about Yang's current wealth, but Xiaozhou was well aware. Yang had many businesses under her, including a noodle restaurant, milk tea shop, skincare shop, and the prestigious restaurant Phoenix, among others. She was the undisputed #1 amongst all women in Suzhou City. And even looking across the whole of China, it was difficult to find a woman on par with Yang. "Although the small car is good," Yang said, "it doesn't have the deep connection that I have with my little Phoenix." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.